It is an unseasonably hot October afternoon in Arizona. And yes, that temperature is correct. It is 99 degrees today as the Pittsburgh Steelers come calling on the Phoenix Cardinals. Big ball game today for the Cardinals, who've won 3 in a row. And by virtue of those 3 victories, the longest winning streak under Gene Stallings as their head coach, they share the lead in the NFC East with the New York Giants. The Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, for the first time since 1969 under Chuck Noll, have lost 4 in a row. They want to break the streak today as we look at Gary Anderson set to kick off. I'm Gary Gerould along with 15-year NFL veteran John Morris, and we're ready for action at Sun Devil Stadium, and it is a sun-baked crowd that awaits the kickoff now. From the 4-yard line by Sikahema. Across the 20 and down at the 23. Fireworks resounding off the nearby hillsides as we're underway in this NFL interconference battle. So for the Cardinals, they'll be out trying to continue the string of impressive numbers that they've put on the board in this 3-game winning streak with victories over Tampa, Washington, and the LA Rams. Neil Lomax, the quarterback, Farrell and Mitchell, the 2 running backs, and they've put up great numbers. They're among the league leaders in the ground game. The receiving core featuring a couple of veterans in J.T. Smith and Roy Green. And here's your interior line now. Sharp, Pete, Kennard, Smith, and Tootie Robbins at right tackle. 1st and 10, just underway. Tempe, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix. The initial handoff goes to Farrell, and Farrell straight ahead for a couple across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. For the Steelers, popping in there is Thomas Everett, one of the defensive backs to free safety to help out on the tackle. So a quick pickup, and we'll check the defensive setup now for the Steelers. They've made a couple of changes, and we'll be seeing a lot of defensive substitution sets. Johnson, Williams, and Gary, the defensive line. Aaron Jones has moved now to an outside linebacking spot for this start today. He is a rookie, along with Hinkle, Little, and Carr. And the backs, Woodruff, Woodson, Hall, and Everett. That's the 5th combination in 5 weeks that Chuck Noll has employed in the defensive backfield. Stump Mitchell with the football for the first time across the 30, slashing ahead to about the 32-yard line. And John Morris, we're going to see a lot of Stump Mitchell today, I'm sure, handling that football.
No great surprise, is it, that Phoenix has elected to try and run the ball to begin this game for 2 reasons, I think. Well, initially, because they run the ball very well, and that's where they've gotten a great deal of their success. And I think the other reason, and we'll talk about this a lot as the game goes along, is the heat factor here. Pittsburgh is not used to playing in 99-degree temperature. And can they hold up to that?
Well, that certainly will be a factor. Both coaches trying to downplay the significance of 99-degree temperatures. But you're a player in this league for 15 years. When it's hot, every player knows it. And in the 4th quarter, it could take a toll. Play action fake for Lomax. Under pressure, down he goes back at the 22-yard line. And the man who is in there is Johnson making the tackle. Tim Johnson in his 2nd year out of Penn State, coming up with a defensive sack on the first passing situation for Neil Lomax.
I think Pittsburgh likes to see that happen that way, because that was really a sack because of the coverage downfield. That's got to be encouraging to the Pittsburgh defense. Watch the play action here. Lomax just can't find anybody. Instead of throwing it away, he takes a sack. Tim Johnson.
So it's a 4th down in a punting situation. Greg Horn is on for the first time now. Dropping back in the deep spot is Rod Woodson, the punt return man for the Steelers, standing at his own 27-yard line. Low line drive kick. Plenty of an opportunity here for a run back, but it takes a peculiar bounce. Woodson at the 40 is hit at the 42-yard line immediately by the Cardinals. So we'll get our first opportunity now to take a look at the Steelers' offensive set now. And, of course, they're without Buddy Brister, who had the middle finger on his passing hand injured last week in a loss against Cleveland. So Todd Blackledge gets his first starting call since Game 2 of 1987 when he was the starter for the Kansas City Chiefs. Also changes today with Frank Pollard starting in the backfield along with Dwight Stone. Saw the interior line on this first down situation from the 42-yard line. Copied the tight end in motion. The handoff to Stone. Gets out close to the 50-yard line, working the right side of the field. Dwight Stone brought down by Anthony Bell.
Dwight Stone getting a start surprisingly today, I think. Chuck Noll and Pittsburgh decided to start Stone. And Pollard in place of Ernest Jackson and Warren Williams. Williams, of course, fighting a problem with the ribs, but we'll see all of the backs today, I think, because of the heat.
Bell, Noga, and Jr. active linebacking core, and the defensive backs a little bit suspect, and we'll get another look at that group here in just a moment. Ready for action on the field right now. Second down for the Steelers, just short of midfield. Blackledge pass intended on the right side for Lewis Lips is incomplete. Defending on the play was Carl Carter, third-year man out of Texas Tech.
I was a little bit surprised that Blackledge is the starting quarterback. I wonder if Pittsburgh fans felt the same way. We watched the replay. His first pass is slanted. It's thrown a little bit behind the receiver. As you can see right there, Lips 83 didn't have much of a chance at that one. But Bono was the quarterback last week against Cleveland in the third quarter. Blackledge getting his first start this year.
Lockett split wide to the left side. That's Charles Lockett. Lips is wide to the right. Weegee Thompson in the slot on the right side now as Blackledge backpedals in a passing situation, has protection, fires and completes the pass at the 37-yard line to Lewis Lips. Plenty of yardage for the first down as Lewis Lips, who caught 15 balls in the preceding 5 games this season, comes up with the first down.
Carter, the cornerback right there, number 41, as we watch it again, gives him a pretty good bump at the line of scrimmage, but now Lips manages to get behind him and break it to the outside. Right there, great move by Lips. Carter is fooled. Good pass by Blackledge. They're in Cardinal territory.
So after a relatively short punt and good field position for the first series, Pollard now with the football for the Steelers, being muscled out of bounds. Coming up to bump him down is Freddie Joe Nunn. Got to be a bit of a booster, I would think, for Todd Blackledge, who has literally taken no snaps. He was, in fact, inactive for 3 of the 5 games and was suited up for only 2 of the Steelers' 5 thus far, taken no snaps until this week in practice. And you know that has to be an encouraging start for him now to be able to move the ball club initially.
Well, an interesting decision by Chuck Noll there on the sideline. He didn't tell either quarterback, Bono or Blackledge, until Friday which one was going to start. So during practice, both of them had to act as though he was going to be the starting quarterback.
Weegee Thompson to the left side. Lips again split wide about 10 yards to the right as Blackledge takes a long time on the count. Once again has excellent protection. Fires deep down the middle. Catch is made inside the 20 by Lips. Loses the football, and coming up with it is the Cardinals. Tim McDonald ends up with the football after Lips had a completion inside the 20 but couldn't maintain possession. So Tim McDonald comes up with a big turnover, and turnovers have been a season-long problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
A huge problem for the Steelers, these turnovers. They've been defeating themselves throughout most of the season so far. Let's make a decision on this. I'm not sure whether this is a fumble or whether he's actually down. We're going to look at it again as Lips, number 83, will come across the middle. Now, he has possession at that point. He's down, and the ground causes the fumble. I don't think that's a fumble. This comes inside. You decide yourself. You can see it coming right at you. He's down. The ground causes. What do you think, Eric?
And we have right now playing being held up, which indicates to me that they're reviewing this now. The replay official today is Al Sabato, and the fact that the Cardinals came right out, Lomax wanted to go. And, of course, if you get a play underway, then the replay business goes right out the window. But the officials on the field whistled everything to a halt, and we're almost certain, while it hasn't been confirmed for us, that the replay officials are taking a very close look at what you indicated may not have been a change of possession.
Good try by Lomax in the offense, though, to get up to the line of scrimmage to get a playoff. We'll look at it again as he comes right at you. Number 83, Lewis Lips, down on the ground. The ball comes out as he hits the ground. That's a close call, but the rule states that the ground cannot cause a fumble.
So we'll just wait along with about 60 other thousand sun-splashed fans here at Sun Devil Stadium today in Tempe.
That's such a close one. I'd hate to be that replay official. You know, there's so many close calls in pro football today, and the rules are so complex that he's the guy under the heat, I think, not the referees on the field, but the guy in the replay booth.
Well, it hasn't been a quick decision. We should point that out. About a minute or so has now gone by, and everybody is waiting to see whether or not it is going to be the possession of the Cardinals or the Steelers.
First down, Cardinals.
Well, there's your indication from the referee, Johnny Greer. The play stands as called, and so 60,000 plus are happy here in Tempe, and the Cardinals have the football, and Blackledge a little bit frustrated.
Well, that's a big break for the Cardinals, and conversely, a poor takeaway at that point as far as the Steelers are concerned.
Steelers have faded in that giveaway takeaway business now. They mentioned that they'd had 16 turnovers in the last 3 games. Here's another one. Now Cardinals in possession, and the pass completed. Earl Farrell out of the backfield, getting out to the 35-yard line. David Little, left inside linebacker, is there with the stop.
See a lot of that today. Farrell, you look at Lomax, he's looking downfield. He wants to capitalize right away on this one, see if he can hit the bomb. There's number 31 coming out of the backfield. He's the outlet receiver. A little more than an outlet receiver with Farrell, though. He's got 11 catches this year. That makes 12. You'll see a lot of him both running and catching.
In case you just joined us, we have played 4.5 minutes in Tempe, Arizona. No score. Steelers were moving the football. We're in Phoenix territory when they surrendered the ball. Cardinals now trying to come back. This is Farrell going nowhere as he tries the right side. Good initial penetration that time. The man who slipped through there and got a hand on the man.
No gain, third down.
Brian Hinkle with the penetration and making the stop. There was somebody that also penetrated early, and I'm not sure. I thought I had the number and I lost it, who got into the backfield and actually hit the ball carrier the first time and slowed him up.
Pittsburgh's done a nice job of this so far in the early going, controlling that line of scrimmage, and that's surprising because Phoenix has a huge offensive line.
Third down. Need about 3 yards for the first down. Green in motion to the near side. Lomax flips it out here, intended for Roy Green, and getting a hand on the football was Lupe Sanchez. Sanchez, one of the defensive backs, a little frustrated at himself because he thought he had a chance for an interception, and believe me, he had a wide open alley all the way down the left side of the field. Had he been able to hang on to that football, it would have been an easy score.
Watch the penetration by Pittsburgh's defensive line that really causes that. Sanchez gets a hand on it. I think he'll be happy at this point just to knock it down, but again, it's that defensive line of Pittsburgh as we look at Sanchez that allowed him to get in position to make that play.
So Greg Horn is on for the second time, standing in his own 20-yard line to handle the kicking chores for the Cardinals, while Woodson, back at the 25, awaits the punt. This one is a beauty. Contrast to the other one, it drives Woodson all the way back to the 10, mishandles the ball to the 5, and now tries to make something out of it. If he can get around one man here, he's got a bit of a picket line back out to the 10, but he'll go down to the 13-yard line. Good coverage across the field on the part of the Cardinals. For a fleeting moment, it looked as if Woodson might have an alley on the left side, but it wasn't there after a 53-yard punt on the part of Greg Horn.
Woodson is always a threat to take one back all the way, but you can see what happens here. That ball was kicked so well by Greg Horn that Woodson was forced to go back and try and catch it over his shoulder. Now he's on his own because the timing of the blocking is completely thrown off, and we have to find out what kind of an athlete Woodson is at this point. Well, he was drafted number 1 because he is a great athlete. That time, no place to go.
Todd Blackledge back out, but unlike the first series for the Steelers, this time he starts way back in his own territory from the 14-yard line, 1st and 10. Blackledge sending all the receivers out, completes the pass to Lips. Lips across the 25 and out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So Lips, who has caught 15 balls in the first 5 games, has already pulled in, I believe, 3 passes now for the Steelers.
Blackledge is not hesitating to put the ball up. He's thrown it much more often than he's run the ball so far today. That time just a quick out to Lips, and I think that's a good pattern for the quarterback to try and build up his confidence in the early goings. Blackledge getting his first start this year.
Chuck Noll has traditionally been known as one who wants to use the running game to establish the passing game, and we've seen a minimum of the run on the part of the Steelers thus far. Stone this time about the 28 or 29-yard line, working the right side. Stone, a second-year man out of Middle Tennessee State.
By Bell.
Anthony Bell, the left linebacker, coming up with the grab. So pickup of about a yard. Make it 2nd and 8 or 9. See the rushing numbers thus far this season for Dwight Stone. Stone getting his first start. We had expected that it would be Ernest Jackson and Warren Williams starting today, but just literally 10 minutes before kickoff, we were informed that it would be Pollard and Stone. Pollard moves into the slot on the right side now for the Steelers. Blackledge in a long count. Here comes a 6-man rush. Puts the pass away, and it's incomplete. Intended for Stone at the 35-yard line. Coverage on the near side provided by E.J. Jr., who thought that he had a shot at a possible interception.
He did. And that's a linebacker getting out there with good speed to the sideline to cover the running back. As we watch it again, see if you can see number 54. There he is on the right of your screen. He weighs about 240 pounds. He's going to get out there to the sideline in a big hurry. He's got a good shot at this ball.
Todd Blackledge took a pretty good hit, too. He had a couple of men sandwiching him there after he released the football.
What quarterback in the NFL these days is not taking good hits the way it's going?
Ouija Thompson in the slot now on the right side. The lone running back is Merrill Hodge, number 33. Rodney Carter is also in the lineup as a wide receiver out of the backfield. Here's the pass intended downfield for Charles Lockett, incomplete near midfield. And again, Blackledge under pressure from the Cardinals. And a punting situation coming up for the first time now for the Steelers.
It's really not surprising to me that Blackledge is throwing the ball so often. The weakness in the Cardinals' defense is in pass defense, in their secondary. They've had a lot of problems back there, and you can see that Blackledge is trying to take advantage of that, but so far without a great deal of success.
4th down and 9. Newsom with a pretty good average, 4th best in the league at nearly 45 yards a punt thus far this season. Gets a high snap from center, snags it and gets it off. Pretty good kick considering. And from the 35-yard line, here's Sekahima. He can be exciting, but look at the hit put on him right there. He was really popped by Tyrone Stowe, number 90. Sekahima bounces right up, however.
37-yard punt.
And the Phoenix Cardinals will now go to work for the 3rd time in a scoreless ball game. We have 8 minutes and 11 seconds yet to play here in this first quarter.
Sikahima's been to the Pro Bowl because he can return punts. This is what makes him a Pro Bowl player, to be able to hang on to the ball when you get hit like that. It's always amazed me these guys can catch those punts. To me, that's the hardest thing in football, to be able to stand down there when that ball is so far up in the air and you know you're going to get hit and still be able to handle it.
Especially when you're looking up into a clear sky such as we have here today, and the sunshine that was coming right down into Sekahima's eyes on that particular catch. From the 44-yard line. Pitch out goes to Stump Mitchell, left side. Being chased and pulled down. No gain as he's at the line of scrimmage out on the left side of the field. Thomas Everett and Rod Woodson over there with good coverage for the Steelers.
Good job by Woodson. He's making too many tackles, though, as far as the Pittsburgh defense is concerned. Not just today, but throughout the season. That's not a good sign when your cornerback is making that many tackles. On that particular play, the linebacker, Greg Carr, who should be up there, got hooked to the inside. Woodson's a tremendous athlete, but the linebackers are supposed to be stopping those sweeps.
Woodson is the 2nd leading tackler on the Steelers defensive unit. And as you indicated, that's a little surprising for a cornerback. No gain, 2nd and 10 from the 44. Cardinals in their own territory. This is their 3rd series with the football. Lomax fires and completes the pass at the 50-yard line. Jetstream Green pulls it down. Roy Green with 17 receptions coming into this ball game. He's put up some amazing numbers over the years. He's now a 10-year NFL veteran.
Gain of 6. 3rd down and 4.
He really has put up some amazing numbers, hasn't he? Number 81 there. And he started out playing both ways back in 1981. We watch it again, just a little curl up here, and he's going to get hit in the back by Woodson. This is a situation where, as a receiver, you just say, okay, I got to hang on to the ball somehow or other. But he played both ways back in 1981.
Nose of the football right at the 50-yard line now. 3rd down for the Cardinals. Pretty healthy receiving average for Green of 18.6 yards per reception this season. Green is in motion. And out of the shotgun, Lomax against a 5-man rush. This one is picked off. Working the left sideline is Greg Carr, and Carr, with the turnover against the Cardinals, brings it back into Phoenix territory at the 32-yard line. Greg Carr, who last week had 10 solo tackles in the loss against Cleveland, comes up with a very big play here on the interception, and we'll take another look.
Pass that never should have been thrown. Lomax really threw it off of his back foot. Never even saw number 91, Greg Carr. The linebacker just right in position to make the play.
Well, we'd like to welcome those of you who've been watching the Bengals and the Jets, where the final in that one, Cincinnati in a romp over New York. Cincinnati still unbeaten here at Sun Devil Stadium. Steelers taking on the Phoenix Cardinals. We have no score in this one. After a interception by the Steelers, and at the 30-yard line trying to work his way ahead is Frank Pollard, the ball carrier for the Steelers. Gary Gerould along with John Morris.
That interception by Greg Carr was his first career interception, and it's a chance for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get on this scoreboard first, and I think that's very important for a team that's struggling. The Steelers have lost 4 in a row, and so far they've spent most of the first quarter in Phoenix territory.
Taking our first look at the 10-minute ticker, you see that Seattle a winner over Cleveland today, and in the 4th quarter, Buffalo leading Indianapolis after Buffalo was down, I believe, 20-0 in that ball game early. A big comeback at Rich Stadium. Here's pressure now for Blackledge. He fires deep, has a man. It's Lips in the corner of the end zone. He is overthrown. Lips, who had 3 receptions early in the contest, going deep, trying to hook up with Blackledge for a scoring play from about 30 2 yards out, unable to get to the football that time.
Blackledge is trying to make a name for himself early. This time he's going for the touchdown. A lot of times you'll see that with veteran quarterbacks. He gets some pressure from Freddie Joe Nunn, number 78, steps up, and he's trying to get that touchdown right away after the turnover. Didn't quite get it that time.
5:40 to play in the first quarter. Scoreless ball game. Second time the Steelers have been in Phoenix territory here in this first quarter. Looking down 3rd and 8. Blackledge has Lockett to the near side. Carter is the running back in motion. Blackledge with protection. Lots of time. Flips it out here. And a timing pattern intended for Lockett at the 5-yard line, incomplete. So Blackledge looked sharp early, but the last couple of times he's overthrown his intended receiver. And so now 4th down and still long yardage, and it would be a long field goal attempt coming up if in fact the Steelers try to go for the field goal.
Just a bad pass this time by Blackledge. Excellent protection. Look at the time that he's got. That surprises me a little bit. He's got a receiver who's making the turn upfield. There he is, number 89, Charles Lockett. All he had to do was just lay it out there gently. He's thrown too far.
Gary Anderson is on. One of the most accurate field goal kickers in the NFL, and he'll be going after a 47-yarder here. 8 of 11 thus far this year. And the kick is blocked. Cardinals come up with a football. Carl Carter and Tim McDonald in there.
Field goal attempt block.
McDonald comes up with,
Tim McDonald.
and on top of it is Carl Carter. McDonald made the block. Carter on top of it. So the first scoring threat on the part of the Steelers is thwarted by the Cardinals. We'll be back with more first quarter action from Sun Devil Stadium, where it remains scoreless between the Cardinals and the Steelers.
38, New England 3. Chicago.
Let's go back and take another look now at this field goal that was blocked.
27, Indianapolis 23.
That's either Tim McDonald, number 46, or Reggie Phillips, number 48. I think it's Tim McDonald. Regardless, it's the first field goal that Anderson's had blocked since the second game of 1984. He is not used to having one slammed back in his face like that.
Well, from the 38-yard line now, the Cardinals will go to work in still a scoreless ball game as Neil Lomax takes plenty of time and fires to the near sideline, hooks up with J.T. Smith.
Lomax's pass complete to
Right in
Smith.
front of Brian Hinkle on the near sideline.
Tackle by Hinkle.
Interesting call that time. Hinkle, the linebacker, in coverage on an out pattern against J.T. Smith, the wide receiver. Lomax with plenty of time to throw as we look at Gene Stallings on the sideline. Gene Stallings, the head coach of the Phoenix Cardinals. This team is starting to roll. They're starting to believe in themselves.
Well, they've come up with very, very big wins in the last couple of weeks, beating Washington and then the previously unbeaten Rams in Los Angeles or in Anaheim last week. First down the near side is stumped into across the 45 to the 47-yard line.
You know, Gary, that's
Over
a big hurdle for a team such as the Phoenix Cardinals, who had not won for a long time. The biggest hurdle is to get that confident feeling that you can win. You know that you are a good team, and maybe these 3 wins are not a fluke. And I think that's what's happening to the Cardinals right now.
Can you believe this Green Bay score today against the New England ball club that you're very familiar with?
Hometown team.
Amazing.
Doug Flutie was the starting quarterback there today.
Chicago over Detroit. We look at other final scores now. The Rams back in the win column impressively. Washington handles Dallas. A big NFC Eastern matchup. San Diego with a couple of quick touchdowns early against New Orleans. That's a surprise at 14-0. Scoreless here at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Temperature 99 degrees at kickoff time. We're watching Farrell go absolutely nowhere.
We're on 3rd and short. They don't get it. And there was a fumble on top of it. We'll have to see about that. The Cardinals have struggled on 3rd and short throughout the season, and they had no chance on that one. Gerould Williams, the nose tackle, and all of the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive front.
55, Darren Jordan.
Watch it again as you see the defensive front. Number 98 is right in the middle there. He gets good penetration across. No place for the running back to go. They get a fumble on top of it, but they were going to be forced to punt regardless.
At the 44.
Darren Jordan got a hand in there. Looked like he literally stripped the ball out. And the ball is the 44-yard line, now in the possession of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both ball clubs are having a difficult time here in this first quarter, trying to maintain possession. So it's still scoreless. We have 4:23 to play in this first quarter at Sun Devil Stadium. Gary Gerould along with John Morris, scoreless ball game in Phoenix. And in this one, it's been interesting because the Cardinals came in with the fewest turnovers of any team in the league with just 5 in 5 games, but they've turned it over twice. And here's the latest.
There's a stripping of the ball by the linebackers for Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh now with the football, and for the third time today, they lose the football. It pops loose. The Cardinals believe that they've got it back, and that indeed is the case.
Recovered by Phoenix.
This is all we're seeing. It's only the first quarter. Pittsburgh has been bedeviled by this all year long by turnovers. Phoenix has not. Phoenix has given it up twice, but Pittsburgh was not able to take advantage.
Pittsburgh, Dwight Stone carrying the ball. That's the third fumble he's lost thus far this year. It's the second fumble the Steelers have lost thus far today.
Anthony Bell, the linebacker, will come up with this. There's a good hole in the middle there as he breaks through. Now as he tried, looks like number 72 there caused the fumble. That's Rod Sadler. He stripped it loose. And once again, another turnover. And Pittsburgh has just not been able to take advantage of what the Cardinals have given them.
Well, we'd like to welcome those of you who've been watching the Bills against the Colts. The final score ended up in that one with Buffalo coming from behind to beat the Colts 34-23. We're here at Sun Devil Stadium. The Steelers taking on the Cardinals. It's 99 degrees, and the football is like it's 150 degrees today because nobody can hang on to it. We're watching Lomax scramble out of the pocket, intended pass downfield and drawing the penalty marker, the 48-yard line. He was trying to hit Roy Green.
Well, that's going to be on one of the defensive tackles for Pittsburgh. I think Lorenzo Freeman for taking a little extra shot at the quarterback, and that's a costly mistake. You just don't want to see Chuck Noll. He says, I've seen enough of this for 1 year. We don't need to see those kind of mistakes. You know, you're talking about the fumbles, Gary, as we wait to see what this call is. I wonder how much the heat has to do with this. Fans might think because of the heat, the players are sweating more and maybe you can't hang on to the football. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just right now there's been some good hits. The linebackers have stripped them the ball, but I really don't think the heat is a factor as far as the fumbles are concerned.
Well, we've had a total, I believe, 4 turnovers, 2 on each side here, and we mentioned that Phoenix has been virtually error-free this season, but they've made 2 in the first quarter. And the Steelers, who have been plagued by turnovers all season long, have made 2 of their own.
We've got 2 flags on this play, one downfield. That's the reason for the delay here.
Crowd of about 60,000 looking on today as we wait the official's decision. That's the first penalty of the ball game, so we've had more turnovers than we've had penalties thus far.
The size of that crowd, all out here in 99-degree heat. They're still 10,000 short of a sellout here at Sun Devil Stadium. There's Lomax rolling out. Let's see if we can see the late hit. Number 68 is Freeman as he comes in. Oh, absolutely.
He takes 2.5 strides before he pops it. Yeah. No
now, what's the flag
that.
downfield? That's the other question. There's a flag right there at where the ball came into view. We'll have to wait to have the official tell us all about it.
Pass interference, defense, personal foul, roughing the passer, defense. The roughing the passer is suspended. First down.
Pair of personal fouls, roughing the passer and pass interference. So the nose of the football is now at the 46-yard line, and for the first time today, Cardinals are in
Steelers are known for
territory.
Have always been known for their toughness, but 2 personal fouls on one play.
4:08 to play here on this first quarter that's being stretched out just a little bit because of a series of miscues. And in addition, for those of you who joined us late, in addition to the turnovers, the Cardinals also blocked a 47-yard field goal attempt by Gary Anderson. So we've had several changes of possession. First down from the 44, and now we've got penalty markers down. The ball was never snapped, and you saw the movement on the contact in the line.
Awful lot of flags this early in the game. The only mistakes the Cardinals have made last week, there was just too many penalties. This time it'll probably go against Pittsburgh.
Gerould Williams, the nose tackle, singled out for the 5-yard infraction, which moves the ball to the 41-yard line. We mentioned 99 degrees today here as we take a second look. There's the jump by the nose tackle, Williams. 99 degrees here today. Back in Pittsburgh, temperatures in the mid-50s. With a southwest wind and a chance of rain, we are told. Well, there are a few clouds in sight today, but it's just basically a hot day in the desert in the southwest. Farrell going straight ahead inside the 40, getting the tough yardage. About 3 yards on that particular crack.
Tackled by Nickerson.
He and Mitchell have been very, very effective for the Cardinals this year as we watch Chuck Noll on the far sideline. Got the white cap on today, checking final scores. Cincinnati 6-0 now after their win over the Jets. Seattle upending Cleveland. Buffalo with a big comeback win at Rich Stadium over the Colts. All finals. Houston over Kansas City in a low-scoring game. Green Bay with the romp that we mentioned earlier. And Chicago now a final over Detroit. Rams with a whitewash job. And these are the late games, and the big surprise there is the 14 points that San Diego has against New Orleans. No score here. Penalty markers down again, and again it was the nose tackle, Gerould Williams. He jumped and he didn't get back in time, so I believe that one's going to be called against him for a second time.
Hard to understand, isn't it, how the nose tackle could be offside that many times when he's right there staring the ball. That's why he's called a nose tackle, because the nose of the football is right there. I don't know whether the center may be giving him a little squeeze with his hand on the football to draw him off. That would be Derek Kennard of the Cardinals, or whether it's the cadence of the quarterback. Nose tackle is not supposed to listen to the quarterback. He's supposed to watch the football.
First and 10 at the 32.
Third penalty, total of 25 yards against the Steelers now. Penalties were a problem last week for the Cardinals. They were called 12 times in that game against the Rams. They have the first down now in Pittsburgh territory. From the 33-yard line, Lomax, of course, at quarterback. This time it's Roy Green in motion back to the left side. Six-man rush. Lomax fires, has an open man. Ewald, the tight end. Touchdown, Cardinals.
Complete to Ewald. 32 yards for a touchdown.
Second-year man, Robert Ewald out of San Diego State, getting his first touchdown. Right over the middle, and a nicely executed play on the part of Neil Lomax. 33 yards for the score. Let's take another look.
Robert Ewald on the right side. Looks like a mix-up in coverage. Delton Hall, number 35, is getting his first start at strong safety after playing corner the last couple of weeks. Robert Ewald just ran right past him. And Ewald is playing injured, too. He's got a bad ankle. Tore a couple of ligaments, but he looked like he had the speed on that one.
Pretty fluid on that play today. So the conversion attempt, Al Del Greco is on now for the point after out of the hole. Kick is up. Probably say out of the hole is clipped out. It is good. So finally, after exchanging possessions on several occasions with just 2:46 to play here in the first quarter, we have our first score. The Cardinals, trying to win 4 in a row, are on top. Back at Sun Devil Stadium with the Cardinals set to kick off. This kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. In the deep spots, Woodson and Stone. This one bouncing down to about the 8-yard line and picking it up. Woodson across the 30, has some room across the 40. Woodson has terrific speed. He'll go the distance. And the Steelers have answered back on the following kickoff. Rod Woodson, terrific hurdler when he was at Purdue, showing open field speed on a bouncing kickoff that he grabbed at about the 7 or 8 yard line, and from 92 yards out goes the distance to make it a 7-6 ball game.
One of the most exciting plays in football, but I don't think the fans here in Arizona thought that. Woodson, a defensive back, a starter, runs back both kicks and punts. This time he just shows his speed. One of the problems the Cardinals have had, Gene Stallings told us he was worried about the coverage of kicks. You can see why.
Gary Anderson hammers it through the uprights to make it a 7-7 ball game. And just like that, how the complexion of this one has changed. Let's take another look at a 92-yard kickoff return by Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson, one of the better athletes in the National Football League, shows you why he has Olympic speed here. Takes it all the way.
Stump Mitchell trying to answer back now with a kickoff return of his own across the 30-yard line for the Cardinals and out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. And after we played give and take through much of the first quarter, both teams have now come up with quick scores. It was Lomax to Ewald from 32 yards out, and then in the ensuing kickoff, Rod Woodson gave his ball club a lift with this 92-yard return for the score.
Usually it's just one block that'll spring that. I saw 2 or 3 good blocks by the Steelers. Woodson shows you right there why he was drafted number 1 and why it took 8 weeks to sign him last year. He's worth whatever they paid him. That's a big one right there.
Say, whatever he bargained for, he got a good chunk of it on that return right there. The Steelers needed a lift. They got it in dramatic fashion. Cardinals now from the 35-yard line, 1st and 10 in a 7-7 ball game. We have 2:17 to play in the first quarter. Lomax with protection, fires for the left sideline in a streak pattern. Roy Green, good defensive coverage provided by Rod Woodson. Woodson stride for stride with Jetstream green that time and getting a hand on the ball to knock it away.
Isn't that surprising? Shows you the athlete that Woodson is. In this heat, after running 92 yards for a touchdown, comes right back on the field with hardly a break at all. And there he is right there playing bump and run and stays with one of the fastest guys in the league straight down the field. Almost has to run another 60 yards there. Got to be young and in condition, huh, Gary?
Turned around just at the right moment and got the left hand out there to knock the ball away. A long incompletion. Cardinals 2nd and 10 now as they're back at the line of scrimmage at the 35-yard line, their own territory. Stump Mitchell on the left side. Farrell with a lead block, but it's a gain of out to about the 40-yard line. He picks up 5, maybe 6 yards before he's bumped down. Greg Carr over there on the far side of the field to make the stop. He had a big ball game last week, even though the Steelers lost Cleveland with 10 solo tackles.
Cardinals continue to try to run the sweep to the left, and they're doing a nice job of sealing off the point of attack. Carr is a linebacker out there. Aaron Jones that time, a defensive end, got cut down. Cardinals perhaps think they found a weak spot over there. Let's see if they continue to go after it.
Minute and a half to go exactly here in this first quarter at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe. Temperature pushing the 100-degree mark, and how much a factor that's going to be late this afternoon remains to be seen. In a 7-7 ball game. Green in motion to the near side as Lomax steps back, pump fake, now fires down the middle, lofts it to a wide open Green, sidelines, and he's out of bounds at the 25. He tried to tiptoe and stay in bounds, and had he been able to do so, it was a touchdown. But the momentum of the route carried him out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
26-yard.
Well, a young secondary will sure get a coach in trouble, even if you are Chuck Noll and you've won 4 Super Bowls. You need an experienced secondary. This time it's a rookie, Greg Lee, number 21. Watch Green now as he'll head upfield at single coverage. He runs circles around Greg Lee right here. You won't even see. There it is right there. A good move. He tries to grab him. Did you see Lee try to grab him? He even missed that. And this really should have been a touchdown. He just ran out of room.
Turns out to be a 36-yard gain with 1:12 left to go first quarter now. Ball just inside the 25-yard line. Here's Farrell working the right side of the line for a tough yard and a half. That's about all. Keith Gary, look at this. Here's a thermometer that's down on the field. Right now we're going to New York, checking in with Gail Gardner.
By Nickerson.
All right, thank you, Gary. At Texas Stadium, the Redskins avoid losing their 3rd straight. Big day for Mark Rippon and Kelvin Bryant. This is a 24-yard touchdown play to Bryant. 3 touchdowns on the afternoon. The final 35-17 Skins. Let's go back to Gary and John in Phoenix.
And in a 7-7 ball game in the heat in the Arizona desert, you see the time remaining here in the first quarter. Phoenix, after that 36-yard gainer, now in Pittsburgh territory at the 23-yard line, 2nd down and a long 8. Lomax again to the air, but under pressure, and for the second time today, he goes down. Greg Carr is in with the sack. That stops the clock at the moment here with 19 seconds to go. Somebody may have called a timeout, or I'm wondering why now the clock continues to run. I'm going to say, why was the clock stopped?
Greg Carr on the sack. He's got a sack and an interception that time. An easy sack for number 91. Nobody blocked him. Mix up in the front by the Cardinals. It's really the only pressure that Lomax has been under throwing the ball. He's having a field day right now, picking apart the Pittsburgh secondary.
Clock is counted down, and we have reached now the end of the first quarter at Sun Devil Stadium. It is a 7-7 ball game. It may be a very interesting afternoon here in the heat of Arizona. We hope you'll stick with us. Just realize that with this temperature in excess of 100 degrees, the dummies that we are, we're standing here with our jackets on.
But we
today.
look good, though, don't we?
We hope so. Let's talk about this ball game. Lomax has been sacked twice, but when he gets the time to throw, it looks like he's having his way with the Pittsburgh defensive secondary.
There are some receivers wide open for the Cardinals downfield, and if Pittsburgh doesn't do something about that shortly, they're going to have a long afternoon.
And right now, the ball is at the 26-yard line. Cardinals have it in their possession. It's 7-7 as we get underway here now in this second quarter. Temperature today at kickoff time was 99 degrees. You saw that thermometer on the field, however, indicating that it is much warmer down there. There's a breeze across the top of this stadium, but it's virtually still down on the floor of Sun Devil Stadium. Lomax out of the shotgun, under pressure, and down he goes. Tim Johnson coming in to make the stop that time. So that's the 3rd time that they've been able to get to him. But there is a penalty marker down. We saw movement in the line, and we weren't sure if a flag went down. But on the near sideline, There is a penalty marker, and you see the preliminary indication from Johnny Greer that this will work against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that sack will be negated.
You know, Joe Green, Mean Joe Green, is the defensive line coach for Pittsburgh, and we listen to the call. It's about the third time that the Pittsburgh defensive line has been offside. I played against Green many times. I used to think he always got a head start off the ball. He was so quick. Maybe he's trying to teach these defensive linemen how to get a quick start, and they're just going a little too soon.
I'll tell you, yesterday when we watched them work out in the heat, and I thought that was a little unusual. Pittsburgh flying from the east to the west yesterday, but taking a long workout in the middle afternoon under Chuck Noll. Mean Joe Green is still as intimidating without pads and a helmet on the sideline there as anybody I saw on that football field.
He's pretty intimidating when he had a helmet on, too.
Roy Green in motion as Lomax under pressure gets this one away. J.T. Smith at the 5-yard line. He was snagged down by Greg Lee, but he almost slipped inside for the score, and Lomax had to unload in a hurry. He was able to do so and come up with a big first down.
Quick slant in here to J.T. Smith. It's a quick release to the inside. No inside help for Pittsburgh, so Lee has to cover it by himself. Here he is, number 21, the rookie. He has no inside help, and he gives up that inside. Doesn't give up the touchdown, but it's just a question of time, I think, before the Cardinals break one of these. They've already broken one pass for a touchdown to the tight end, but these wideouts, they're running free in that secondary right now.
John Thomas Smith caught 4 balls last week in the big victory against the Rams. 20 receptions coming in. Johnny Greer wants to take an official timeout.
With the 45-second clock operator, please reset the clock to 23 seconds.
Going to reset the clock at 23 seconds. It indicates 13, as you can see. So the clock counting in the opposite direction it normally does.
Yeah, you were talking about the pressure that Pittsburgh has put on Lomax. They've sacked him twice, but I think both times were maybe a mix-up. The Pittsburgh defender might have got in there without being blocked. When the offensive line of Phoenix carries out their assignments, Lomax has just had too much time to throw the ball.
Last week he generated 517 yards of offense, better than 340 yards passing. This time he hands off to Farrell, and Farrell crawls virtually to the 1-yard line. Perhaps the two will wait for the official spot. Cherry Reese with the tackle for the Steelers. Lomax got the first touchdown of the ball game on a 32-yard pass to the tight end Awalt. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Rod Woodson went 92 yards to make this a 7-7 ball game. Came late in the first quarter. We're now a minute and a half into the second quarter, tied at 7. Reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the contest.
It'll be Mike Webster of Pittsburgh. I just want to let you know that.
Oh, you've already figured that out as an ex-center, huh? Lomax with a play-action fake, trying to free somebody up. Does so, but unable to hang on to the football. Out of the backfield was Earl Farrell. Lomax had the time on a beautifully executed play-action fake, and then tried to thread it back somewhat against the grain, and Farrell had his hands on it but couldn't hang on. Thomas Everett was back there defending. So the Cardinals miss a scoring opportunity right there, and now they're looking at third down.
Let's see whether he dropped it or whether he was helped to drop it by the hit by number 27. Second choice as a receiver. He throws it back across the grain. Let's see if we can see right there. That's hard to tell, but I think Everett might get a little credit for that. Pretty good hit in the end zone to make sure that Farrell doesn't hold on to it.
Looked like it was going to be a touchdown. Lomax now 6 for 10 for 107 yards. Looking at a 3rd down and 2 for the touchdown. He wants a timeout.
Timeout, Pittsburgh.
Steelers were a man short, it appeared, too, because Woodson came running on from the far side of the field just as Lomax took the timeout.
Hard enough to stop a team down on the goal line when you've got 11 players. Not with 10, you can't do it.
Looking on the sideline of the brain trust for the Phoenix Cardinals.
Their former Pittsburgh quarterback, number 18, Cliff Stout, right there, too.
Well, we take a look at Gene Stallings. They'll plot strategy. We'll see what the result is in just a moment. Gary Gerould along with John Morris welcome you back to Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Temperature hovering right near the 100-degree mark. Officially down on the field well over 100 degrees. Ball at the 2-yard line. 3rd down and goal now for the Phoenix Cardinals in a 7-7 ball game. Novacek, the tight end, in motion as Lomax is ready to fire over the middle, and it's dropped by Awalt.
Lomax's pass incomplete.
Robert Awalt, who had a 32-yard touchdown pass just a few minutes ago, unable to hang on to a 2-yarder this time under defensive pressure.
I think Lupe Sanchez made a nice play on that one. Looked like he was beaten for the touchdown and just sort of reached around, maybe got a hand on it. Big play by the Steeler defense, though, forcing them to go for the field goal.
Well, the field goal opportunity will result in Al Del Greco coming on. Del Greco on the field goal attempt, converting for the 3 points. That makes it a 10-7 ball game now, and the Cardinals have broken on top. I'm sure they have to be a little bit disappointed that they didn't get the touchdown. They had a couple of shots at the end zone, and a couple of balls were dropped. But they settle for 3, and they lead by 3 at 10-7. Del Greco's kick. Woodson looking for another opportunity from the 5-yard line, but this time it's Dwight Stone. Stone across the 20, and he gets to about the 27-yard line before he's brought down. Woodson went 92 yards the last time he had the football. They kick away from Woodson, and Stone gets it out to the 27.
Let's see if the Steeler offense now can take advantage of this. They did a tremendous job by the defense to prevent the Cardinals. Here's the field goal they have to settle for. They really should have had a touchdown right here as they get the 20-yard field goal, but this is a big win for Pittsburgh's defense. And I think it's important now for the offense to see if they can take advantage of that, see if they can generate some scoring. Because at this point, at least early in the game, it's been the Cardinals all the way on offense, even though they haven't scored that many points.
From the 27-yard line now, Steelers will go to work under the leadership of Todd Blackledge, playing in place of an injured Bubby Brister, who was hurt a week ago and may be out of action. Well, who knows? They say it'll be a week-to-week situation. Could be as many as 3 or 4 weeks before he is back. Blackledge with plenty of time finds a wide-open receiver out here now, and Charles Lockett, the second-year man out of Cal State Long Beach, pulled down by Tim McDonald. But a nice gain and good protection that time for Blackledge.
Excellent protection for Blackledge. Watch how much time he has on the play-action fake. He's looking the other way. Nobody open there. Still has time to come back to his secondary receiver, Charles Lockett, who by this time had gotten free behind the secondary. And it's kind of surprising to me that the Cardinals are not putting more pressure on Blackledge. It's his first start, maybe a little bit confused. They want to get after him.
Limping off on the near sideline, we just saw Cedric Mack, one of the defensive backs for the Cardinals, to the near side, has been hobbled, so there's been a change in the secondary. 20-yard pickup in the last play, and now the officials have called for a momentary delay. Looks like they're about ready to go from the 48-yard line in Phoenix territory. No, they're not ready to go. Johnny Greer coming over to talk now to the line judge, Ron Bloom.
Would the clock operator please set the game clock to 12:05?
Making an adjustment in the game clock of some 15 seconds. It shows 11:50 at the moment. Greer indicating he wants it set at 12:05.
A lot of new people down here. This is a new NFL city. A lot of new people working around the stadium. People that perhaps are accustomed to college games, not used to the NFL clock, so maybe that's the reason we're seeing these problems with the clock.
26 yards in that last reception to Lockett. I mentioned 20. Will stand corrected in that category. Puts the ball in Phoenix territory. 10-7. Cardinals lead the Steelers. Handoff goes inside to Frank Pollard. Pollard activated this week and carrying the football down to the 40, maybe the 39-yard line. He's been hampered by a right knee that was hurt in the Dallas game some weeks back.
Pollard's making sure he talks to all his offensive linemen. Pittsburgh likes to trap. You can see it on the corner of your screen there. The 2 linemen pulled to the inside to try and trap block. Pollard almost broke it. It was just a hit there by Bob Plasby that prevented that, but Pollard feeling good to be back in there at this point.
Second down. They need about 2.5 to 3 yards for the first down from the 40-yard line. Steelers trailing by 3. This time it's Dwight Stone who gets to about the 39-yard line. It wasn't much of a hole to work with. And you mentioned the tendency to want to trap, John. It's interesting to look at the numbers in that Steelers offensive line. This is not a big offensive line according to the usual NFL standards.
Very small offensive line, and they've always, Chuck Noll has always liked that trapping offense. That's what got him 4 Super Bowls. And by trapping, we mean small, quick linemen that can pull and block from the side. They cannot, and this is the trend of the National Football League right now, to get those big fat guys that can drive somebody off the line of scrimmage. Pittsburgh does not do that. They still rely on a trapping line.
Updating scores in the late games around the country on the 10-minute ticker. Third down. A little over a yard needed here for the Steelers to keep this drive alive. They call on Pollard, and he's thrown for a loss. Back at the 40-yard line, Pollard with no place to go that time, and a good surge led by Ricky Hundley, the middle linebacker for the Cardinals.
Fourth down.
So fourth down coming up.
Interesting to see Hundley in there. Acquired from Denver, one of the better linebackers in the AFC, came over here and couldn't win a job. Nico Noga hung on to that job at middle linebacker. Hundley's in there now and made a nice play.
So the ball at the 39-yard line where it's officially spotted. Still fourth down and 1. So the loss was only about a half yard in the play, and the Steelers have elected to go for it. So a lot of encouragement locally here from 60,000 plus at Sun Devil Stadium for the Cardinal defenders. Hand off to Pollard. And I don't know. It's going to be close. I don't think he got there. Working the left side, and certainly the Cardinals don't think he got there. So they had a couple of cracks to get a yard and a half, and they didn't get the job done, it appears.
Well, it's easy to second-guess a coach from up here. It's hard to second-guess a coach that's won 4 Super Bowls. But I've got to wonder about this call. His team is struggling. Pollard hasn't played much. It's his first game, and he's no chance on that first down. And that's a big turnover right there.
E.J. Jr. played off a block beautifully that time to make the tackle on Pollard. So the change of possession, the ball at the 39, and the Cardinals with a 3-point lead at 10-7 and 9:35 to play in the first half take over. And that's an unhappy coach prowling the sideline over there. We saw a quick look at Chuck Noll.
Maybe Noll figures at 1-4. He really hasn't got a whole lot left to lose, but still early in this game.
Well, some interesting numbers on that graphic we saw there relating to how the Cardinal defense worked against Washington and the Rams the last 2 weeks in limiting rushing yardage. A play action fake on the part of Lomax. Now steps up in the pocket and fires to the left side. Wide open, Green. Green out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Rod Woodson was the man that was picked on that time, along with Thomas Everett. And Roy Green made it look easy as he hooked up with Neil Lomax.
Pittsburgh 21.
Watch it again. Green, number 81 here, goes in motion into the inside. Some kind of mix-up in the Steelers' backfield. Wide receivers have been running free throughout this game. Look at this. Not a black shirt anywhere within 5 yards. Just too easy for him. That's Woodson and Everett. I think it's Everett in the coverage, and he never got over there.
Woodson was on the deep side. Everett was underneath and got lost in the traffic, it appeared. Green now picking up 41 yards in that play. Has 3 catches for 83 yards thus far in this ball game. First down, the ball inside the 22. On the ground, it's Stump Mitchell trying to pop outside, and he's able to do so. Gets inside the 10. What a great effort on the part of Stump Mitchell.
Tackled by Everett.
Looked like they had him for no gain, and suddenly he bounced out to the left, circled back, and he was on his way for a nice pickup inside the 10-yard line.
That's really discouraging to a defensive front. They've done their job. Look at that. They've maintained position right there. They should have had him for no gain. Instead, he spins loose to the outside and picks up a big play when it really should have been a loss or no gain, and that's very discouraging for a defense. And right now, Pittsburgh's defense is under too much pressure. Chuck Noll's trying to figure out. That's not Chuck Noll. That's one of the defensive coaches. Let's see if I can make out who that is. Hard to see in the sun. Hard to see up here in the clouds. You really are.
Mitchell, 5 carries for 25 yards. Here's the pitch out, and going this time to Tony Jordan. Jordan stacked up in the vicinity of the 6-yard line. Tyrone Stowe, who along with Greg Carr had the penetration on that last effort but couldn't get to Mitchell, this time sealing the tackle on Tony Jordan's first carry of the day.
It's like Mitchell may be injured on this one. He's still down as Stowe goes off the field.
2nd and goal at the 6. Official timeout for injury.
Jordan is down. Cardinals got the report just a moment ago that Cedric Mack, their defensive back, went out with a twisted ankle. That was the reason he hobbled off the field a bit earlier. And now Tony Jordan, rookie running back out of Kansas State, who just had his number called for the first time this afternoon, in some obvious discomfort on the turf of a very hot Sun Devil Stadium.
It's surprising to me that the Cardinals have elected to run the ball as often as they have.
Now we're going to have an injury timeout at this point, and we'll see what is in store here for both of these ball clubs in a moment. Phoenix threatening and leading by 3. Along with John Morris, Gary Gerould welcoming you back to Sun Devil Stadium. You see our situation, time remaining here in the first half, and a 10-7 Phoenix lead. Tony Jordan, who was shaken up in the last play, able to go off the field under his own power. Mitchell and Farrell are back now at the running back spots behind Lomax with 2nd down coming up from the 6-yard line. Lomax with protection, firing, and a great catch at the 1-yard line by J.T. Smith. Smith was the motion man coming to the near side, curled back, and you can see how he tried to twist his body and get in there for the score, unable to do so.
What a catch. Look at this. He just stretched out, catches it right in his hands. That's Woodruff that he's trying to, I'm sorry, that's Woodson that he's trying to play against, and not just a tremendous catch. Now he tries to get it across the goal line. There's nothing doing, but this is another big series for Pittsburgh on defense. They stopped the Cardinals the last time down here. Now it's 3rd and short again. Last time, Cardinals didn't get it, had to go for the field goal. This is just too much pressure on Pittsburgh's defense, though.
Jordan is back in the backfield now. Had a pinched nerve in his arm, we were told, and so he is the lone setback behind Lomax from the 1-yard line. Jordan up over the top, waiting for the indication. There it is. Touchdown, Cardinals.
Jordan, 1 yard for the touchdown.
Tony Jordan, the rookie running back from Kansas State, with his 3rd touchdown of the 1988 NFL season, going up and over from 1 yard out. Pittsburgh's defense that had done such a good job earlier, unable to stop the penetration that time. They jammed things at the line, but Jordan just climbed that ladder.
The young Pittsburgh defense, and they can't do it all day long. They've got to get some help from their offense. In the meantime, the Cardinals are showing a lot of offense, running and passing, and really almost doing whatever they want offensively out there.
Del Greco on now for the conversion attempt. Stout will hold, trying to stretch the lead to 10. He does so right through the middle. So it's 7:06 to play here in the first half. It's now a 10-point ball game in favor of the Phoenix Cardinals. They're trying to win for the 4th straight game, and they lead this one now by a score of 17-7.
That's a serious touchdown as far as Pittsburgh is concerned. We'll watch it again. Just a 1-yard plunge by Jordan here as he dives over the top. Good movement by the offensive line. That's the number that Otis Anderson used to wear. This guy looks a little bit like him on this play. Right over the top, but as I started to say, this one hurts Pittsburgh. That could open the floodgates. 7:06 left to go, and the Cardinals have been very much in control. Pittsburgh has got to do something defensively or offensively to make a big play here and get back in this one.
So a 32-yard touchdown pass from Lomax to Awoltz, a 19-yard field goal from Del Greco, and now this 1-yard dive by Jordan, accounting for the 17 total Phoenix points. Pittsburgh has 7, courtesy of a 92-yard kickoff return from Rod Woodson. Woodson is deep with Dwight Stone right now as they await the kickoff from Al Del Greco. Look at that thermometer. Over 115 degrees on the floor of the stadium. And from the 2-yard line, it's Dwight Stone. He doesn't get to the 20.
Talking about that 115 degrees, you know, there's a little bit of a breeze down there. But still, they can't continue to play like that under these conditions.
We go quickly to Gail Gardner in New York.
16-yard return.
Thank you, Gary. At Candlestick, the 49ers looking for their first home win ever against the Broncos. Joe Montana, the quarterback draw as he goes in from 6 yards out. Niners lead the Broncos 10-3. Let's go back to Gary and John in Phoenix.
17-7 our story here. Phoenix over Pittsburgh, and the Steelers have got some further woes now on that kickoff return that got out to the 18-yard line. A penalty has moved the ball back now to about the 9-yard line. So they'll start deep in their own territory, trailing by 10 at 17-7. Todd Blackledge at quarterback after the injury last week to Bubby Bristol. In motion is Lewis Litz. Litz with several receptions early in the ball game as we look now at Dwight Stone. He picks up about 5 or maybe 6 yards out close to the 15-yard line. Brought down by Anthony Bell.
Talking about the heat again, to get back to that point at 115 degrees or whatever it is on the field as we look at the scores around the league. Pittsburgh's offense has got to stay on the field for a while. Their defense just can't stay on the field as long as they have under these weather conditions.
And of course that'll only be accentuated as we get deeper into the afternoon and further into this ball game.
As we see it again, it doesn't seem to be cooling off either, does it? It seems to be going the right. It's going to go off the scale there in a minute.
Well, the normal high for October 9th, we understand, would be 91 degrees in Phoenix. It was 99 at kickoff, and as we indicated, it's not the official temperature would not be that 115 plus, but that's the temperature on the field of the stadium. Frank Pollard trying to break a tackle out to the 20-yard line. Looks like he has enough for the first down. Ricky Hundley coming up with a stop for the Cardinals. Any way you look at it, it's hot, and it's hotter here than any place else anybody's playing. You used to play a lot down in Miami when you were with New England, and The problem there was the heat coupled with the humidity. At least you don't have the humidity factor here in the desert.
You know, that's what the Chamber of Commerce likes to say here about the lack of humidity. But at 120 degrees, I'm not sure it matters whether it's wet or dry. It's awfully hot down that field. Any vultures out there as we look across the top of the stadium? That's what we can see from up top here.
I tell you, I'm reaching for a cup of water right now, just looking at those cactus out there on the hillside. And that's just right outside the lip of the stadium. A little play action fake from Blackledge. Now he pumps and fires to the left side. Lips is open, but he's overthrown. Boy, he was hit hard when he was down as well by Cedric Mack, who came back in after twisting that ankle. That ball was just overthrown.
That's the third or fourth pass that Blackledge has overthrown today. He's going to get a receiver killed throwing a ball like that, exposing his ribs. Blackledge, yes, it is his first start and under unfortunate circumstances, but has not looked sharp today at all. I don't know whether Chuck Noll would consider replacing him with Steve Bono. I suppose he would if things got any worse.
Blackledge is now 4 for 11 in the passing department. Blackledge's dad, we should point out, is, of course, a line coach for the Steelers. Since that trade was made that brought him from Kansas City, he has had an opportunity to renew some family ties at close range. Here's Dwight Stone looking and not getting anywhere. Thrown for a loss back at the 18-yard line.
Tackled by Young.
Lonnie Young coming up the free safety to make that hit, and there was no opportunity for that one to unfold at all.
Watch Tim McDonald, number 46. He'll come into your screen. He's the force man out here. He gets across the line of scrimmage. There he is right there. Doesn't make the tackle, but allows Young to come up and make the play.
You touched on something earlier in this telecast, John, about when you've got a ball club like Phoenix, it's not expected to be tied for a division lead coming in. They've won 3 in a row. They've beat good teams. That confidence factor, and you can sense it in the way that defense is starting to play now. A little more freewheeling.
Can't you really can almost feel it from up here.
Rodney Carter is now in the backfield, along with Merrill Hodge for the Steelers, and it's Hodge with a football, and he tries his luck, and there's absolutely nothing there. Freddie Joe Nunn is right there, number 78, with all kinds of help. Sean McNanny and others.
Wow, what a play by Freddie Joe Nunn, 4th year out of Mississippi, former #1 draft choice. 8 tackles and 4 sacks. That's not a bad season. It's just getting started. That time, quickly across the line of scrimmage. And that's one of the problems with a trapping offensive line. When you've got speed on defense, like Freddie Joe Nunn, he can beat the block to the line of scrimmage.
Punting situation. We're looking at Harry Newsom now, the punter, who stands back inside his own 5-yard line. By Sukahima at his own 42, awaiting the punt. Oh, it is a beautiful kick. Penalty marker is down. Sukahima driven all the way back to the 21-yard line. And down he goes at the 28, but there's a penalty marker down back at the 7-yard line at the other end of the field.
Well, the Cardinals had a chance to put this one away, and instead they're going to let the Steelers up. Roughing the punter is going to give Pittsburgh another try at it.
That was a beautiful kick, and only about a 5 to 7 yard return, but penalty marker still back there at the 7-yard line.
I think they have to determine whether it's a 5 or a 15-yard penalty. If it's running into the punter, let's see. We'll let the official call it.
Running into the kicker, number 43, it's declined.
They declined it because it wasn't enough to get the first down. If it's roughing the kicker, it's an automatic
first down, and that's a rule change this year for 1988. So it wouldn't have been enough yards to get the first down. So they live with that long punt, and now the Cardinals, who lead this one 17-7, have 3:33 to go in the first half as they get set to go to work with the football once again.
What a break for the Cardinals, Gary, because it's a questionable call whether it's running into the punter or whether it's roughing the punter. It's a judgment call by the official just on intent, I think, more than anything else. Cardinals got a break on that one, and now they've really got a chance to cause Pittsburgh a lot of problems.
Ball's at the 29-yard line. Phoenix has scored 101 points in the last 3 weeks. Pittsburgh had scored 102 points for the season coming into this ball game. Phoenix now with a 10-point advantage and the football from their own 29. Earl Farrell across the 30 and into the grasp immediately of David Little. So he picks up maybe 2 yards. David Little, the #1 tackler on the ball club. He's led the Steelers the last couple of years in the tackling department.
2nd and 8 at the 31.
You'll have to excuse the crowd here. They're new at this, but they're doing the wave down here to tell them that's passé.
I want to remind you, of course, that next Saturday, NBC Sports proud to begin coverage of autumn's premier sporting event, the 85th Fall Classic getting underway, and the World Series back home on NBC starting next Saturday. And could be determining yet today whether or not it'll be the A's or the Red Sox going to wrap that one up in the short order, going against either Mets or the Dodgers. Inside handoff to Farrell to the 34-yard line before he's bumped down. Steelers indicate that they've got the football down there. We're waiting for official confirmation. Normally in that situation, the ball comes loose late. And you see the reaction now on the part of the Steelers, some frustration showing, which would be our indication that the Cardinals are going to maintain possession.
Steelers sure could use the football at this point. Things are just not going their way. And they're still not, if that indication by the official is correct.
Well, Robert Awalt, the tight end for the Cardinals, it was almost as if he said, I've got the final word, we've still got the football. And indeed, the Cardinals still do. Mitchell was on top of it at the 34-yard line. Turnovers were a problem in case you joined us late. Early in this contest, both teams turned it over twice early, and then things have settled down into a more normal pattern now, and we've seen an abundance of scoring, most of it done by Phoenix.
Pretty good hits in there, and you can see that ball came loose way after the whistle blew.
From the 34-yard line, third down now for the Cardinals, and Lomax will operate out of the shotgun. J.T. Smith split wide to the left, and Green is in the slot to the left. Novacek is working the right side in the slot. They have 4 wide receivers, and now we have a timeout called. 2-minute warning. I didn't realize we were down to that already. So we'll take a break, of course, and get set for the final 2 minutes of action here in our first half, and a 17-7 Phoenix lead over Pittsburgh. We're looking at 2-time Pro Bowler Neil Lomax, who's been off to a sterling start in the 5 weeks leading up to this ball game today of this season. You see his numbers, impressive ones, third best completion percentage in the NFC, and right now he's looking at a third down situation. Cardinals are 3 of 8 in converting to first downs in the third down game thus far this afternoon. Lomax out of the shotgun. Once again has 4 wide receivers. 5-man rush on the part of the Steelers, going deep, wide open. Green at the 35 and down at the 30-yard line. Loses the football after they hit by Woodson, but he pounced on it immediately. So just as you indicated, John, if he has time to throw, they're just picking that Pittsburgh secondary apart.
White shirts all over that secondary for the Cardinals. They've just been wide open down there. Green's laughing because he knows it should have been a touchdown. Watch this. He runs right by Woodson. It really should have been a touchdown, except it was slightly underthrown. Just amazing to me that the Cardinals can get that many wide receivers open downfield as they have. And Lomax really has only thrown 1 touchdown pass today so far, but you get the feeling that the dam is about to burst.
Well, for Green, what a day he's had. He's caught 4 balls now, and this one for 37 yards gives him in the vicinity of 120 yards receiving this afternoon. Lomax going for more, and look, wide open on the sideline and bumped down as Novacek. Former decathlete out of Wyoming. And Novacek is down inside the 5-yard line where Delton Hall made the stop, but the fact that he was wide open when the ball was delivered, nobody close to him, made it look easy.
The only problem Lomax had here was deciding which wide open receiver to throw it to. Green was wide open in the end zone. He elects to go to the outside. You can see why. Novacek, finally, a black shirt comes into the picture.
Ball is spotted actually at the 3-yard line now, so the Cardinals, who lead it with 1:02 to go here on the first half, 17-7, definitely threatening a couple of big pass completions. First to Green and to Novacek. Lomax to the near side, wide open, J.T. Smith. Touchdown, Phoenix.
Fish in a barrel for Lomax. This is too easy.
3 passes in succession, all to wide open receivers. First Roy Green, then it was Jay Novacek, and now for the touchdown to J.T. Smith. Lomax now 11 for 16, over 200 yards passing. His second touchdown pass of the afternoon to make it 23-7 with 58 seconds to go here in this first half.
Not only does Lomax have all the time to throw it, but he doesn't need that much time because his receivers are so wide open.
Al Del Greco was on now for the conversion attempt. He's had a busy day thus far. Remember, he also had a field goal attempt blocked early in the contest. He hammers this one through. It's routine. So it's 24-7 now as the Cardinals have stretched their lead. Only 58 seconds to play here in the first half. Well, some Arizona sentiment being bestowed upon those folks in St. Louis who are watching this ball game today, and the Cardinals enjoying a romp in the sun and the heat.
In fairness to St. Louis, the fans back there, they didn't get to see football like they're seeing out here today in Phoenix. Cardinals never played this well, at least not for a long time. Look at this. Another wide open receiver in the secondary. Easy touchdown.
Second touchdown pass of the day for Lomax, and boy, it was just boom, boom, boom. Big gainers first to Green and to Novacek, and then the 3-yarder to J.T. Smith. You know, they're enjoying this afternoon thus far after they struggled. 2 turnovers in the first quarter. Kick going down to the goal line, and again it is Dwight Stone. He managed to keep the ball out of the hands of Woodson. Woodson, who ran the one back for 92 yards, unable to get his hands in the football, and this series will start at the 21 or 22-yard line.
21-yard.
There's Lomax on the sidelines. He has every reason to smile. I can't imagine the quarterback having a much better first half than he's had. Another look at the touchdown to Green. That's about 5 yards in front of the defender. Number 53 for Pittsburgh.
Brian Hinkle, linebacker back there, trying to provide coverage on one of those veteran wide receivers. Talk about the years of experience for Green and also J.T. Smith, and it's all coming together this afternoon, just as it has the last 3 Sundays. Dump pass goes outside and the near side to Merrill Hodge out of the backfield from Todd Blackledge. Ball is out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. Carl Carter with defensive coverage that time for the Cardinals.
The Steelers are going to try and do something with 47 seconds left in the half, but what they want to avoid at this point is a turnover and a chance for the Cardinals to score another one. At 24-7, the Pittsburgh offense just cannot make a mistake now.
Ball spotted at the 30-yard line. We indicated the 33 initially. And we tried to give him an extra 3 yards. Here's the numbers on the scoring drive. 71 yards in just 5 plays. Here's Hodge again, running almost the same pattern. Doesn't get out of bounds this time as he gets to the 34-yard line. And again, Carl Carter is there in the tackle. This time the clock continues to run. Now timeout is taken. 33 seconds to go in this first half. The Steelers would dearly love to get something here in the final 33 seconds as they trail 24-7.
First and 10.
You hear the reaction of the crowd as we watch Blackledge go over and say, okay, coach, what do you got for me when I'm down 24-7? Watch the replay again. It's supposed to be a screen to the right, but the linemen never get out. It's difficult to run a screen all by yourself out there, and that's the result. Talking about the crowd again, though, kind of a new crowd here in Arizona. They're new to pro football, and it's interesting to watch them. They're not quite sure when they're supposed to cheer and when they're supposed to boo. Sometimes the Cardinals are acting as cheerleaders, the players themselves, and the crowd seems a little bit on the laid-back side in the sense that, you know, is this good? Is what my team doing right now? Is this good?
Well, the key is they're enjoying themselves at this
right.
point, and I guess they should for the ticket prices they're paying down here to have the privilege of setting in on these ball games.
That's right. Maybe they're in a state of shock over what they had to pay to get here. That's
astounding.
Why they're so quiet.
The average ticket price is $38, by far the highest in the league, and there are those who are paying $200 a pop to sit here and watch this ball game today. Blackledge currently 6 of 12 for 81 yards with just over a half minute to go in this first half, ready to throw once again. Whistles, however, going to stop the play before it unfolds. Procedure call against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh last year 8-7. They were 3-1 in the preseason, and there was reason for optimism. And they started their season with a 3-point win over Dallas, but then they lost a real tough one against Washington in week 2, 30-29, as the Redskins came back. And then they had to bump into a Cincinnati ball club that remains undefeated. They lost by 5. Then in a high-scoring game at Buffalo, the Steelers lost by 8. Last week in Cleveland, there wasn't much to cheer about. It was 23-9. Clock has been reset at 33 seconds. It had shown 31 before. That's the reason for the delay. And we're ready to take another shot at it now. Blackledge again to throw. Can't find anybody open. Now the ball's knocked away. Steelers recover at the 24-yard line. Ready Joe Nunn with a penetration. Terry Long, number 74, the right guard, pouncing alertly on the football after it was poked out of the grasp of Todd Blackledge.
When it rains, it pours. Blackledge just is lucky here. Very fortunate for the Steelers that Long is right there. Number 74, the offensive lineman, will recover this one. The last thing they needed was another turnover.
Now he flips it out here on the left side, completes this one, and in the grasp of Troy Johnson. Johnson breaks a tackle. Look out on the sidelines, bumped out of bounds. Nice move by Troy Johnson. knocked over one of those cooling units, I think, over there on the far sideline that he just ran into. Wayne Davis, but
End of the first half.
time expires, even though the clock shows 33 seconds to go. Everybody running off the field, so we have reached halftime, and it is a huge lead on the part of the Phoenix Cardinals, who've enjoyed things in the second quarter. They're on top 24-7. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Gary Gerould at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona, where the Phoenix Cardinals today virtually as hot as the weather. The temperature at kickoff time was 99 degrees. On the field, better than 115 degrees. And Neil Lomax with a pair of touchdown passes has Phoenix out in front 24-7 at halftime. Our halftime activities continue now as we go to NFL Live in New York. Len Berman and Paul McGuire.
Thank you, Gary Gerould. Welcome back. Let's get you caught up on all the scores and highlights. First of all, San Francisco continues to beat up on that Denver offense. The offense not going well. It's 10-3 San Francisco at halftime. What is with John Elway?
You want to know what's with Elway? 4 sacks. He's been sacked 4 times, and he's thrown 2 interceptions. Is that enough?
That's enough. Elway with 11 interceptions this year. Denver's not scored a touchdown now in 8 quarters of play. Miami, look at this one, leading the Raiders 24-0. Miami had never beaten the Raiders on the West Coast. It looks like it's going to happen this game at halftime. The game you're watching, Phoenix leading Pittsburgh 24-7 at halftime. A big day for Neil Lomax of the Phoenix Cardinals. Elsewhere, they're already in the third quarter at San Diego, and the Chargers are leading New Orleans 14-13 in that one. Now, the Bengals going to 6-0, beating up on the Jets today. Final score there of 36-19. The Jets dropped to 3-2-1. And Ickey Woods, look at this move he made. He carried 30 times today for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns as Woods filling in for the injured James Brooks. Big day for the Bengals. Seattle knocking off Cleveland 16-10. Mike Pagel injured in that one. The Browns now down to their 4th quarterback of the year in week number 6. Buffalo over Indianapolis. The Bills are now 5-1. Final score of 34-23. Many people thought the Colts would make hay this year in the AFC East. They are now 1-5. Houston edging Kansas City in a pretty bad game. 7-6 was the final there. Houston surprisingly goes to 4-2. Green Bay finally gets its first win for their new coach, Lindy Infante. It comes in week number 6. Final score of 45-3. Raymond Berry had lots of problems today to worry about. Doug Flutie threw 3 interceptions. The Patriot defense stopped nothing. Here goes Brent Fullwood, and no one can get him. And he keeps on charging for the touchdown. 33 yards gave the Packers a 24-3 lead. And a scary moment. Darryl Stingley was at that game. 10 years ago, he was paralyzed from a Jack Tatum hit. Then look what happened. Steve Grogan, the man who had thrown to Stingley on that fateful day, throwing for Stanley Morgan, and Chuck Cecil hits him. And Morgan was carried off the field on a stretcher. They say a concussion. He's at the hospital. We hope Stanley Morgan is okay for the Patriots. Chicago beating Detroit. Final score there of 24-7. So the Bears now go to 7-1. Rams big over Atlanta. The fans losing interest on the Falcons. 33-0 the final there. Washington beat Dallas 35-17. Minnesota edged Tampa Bay 14-13. And the A's lead the Red Sox 3-1 in the 8th inning, going for the sweep. Now the station break.
24-7 our halftime score. The Cardinals on top of this one against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've lost 4 in a row coming in. When it's this hot now, John, and you're down 24-7, got to be awful tough looking at this second half. What do you think Chuck Noll is telling the Steelers?
Chuck Noll is one of the best coaches that ever coached in the National Football League, but even this one is going to test his talents, I'm afraid. It's easy for a young team to get demoralized when they're down. It's even easier when they're down the way they've gotten down in this game. And the heat on top of that, it's so easy for them to say, oh, I feel sorry for myself, and let's get this one over with.
We had turnovers in abundance in the first quarter as both ball clubs turned it over twice, and then we kind of got into a tempo here. It was a 10-7 ball game when Jordan in the backfield got a dive over the top for a score that gave Phoenix the advantage. This made it a 17-7 ball game. Here's a look at the dive.
That was one of the easier touchdowns that the Cardinals have scored today. And the last touchdown that you'll see right here is this was typical of the wide receivers for the Cardinals throughout this first half. Watch how wide open J.T. Smith is on this one as he beats Brian Hinkle. Unfortunately for the Steelers, receivers have been open that far throughout most of this game. The only touchdown the Steelers were able to get, it was an exciting one by Ron Woodson. Watch this one. Rod Woodson, 92 yards for a touchdown, showing you why he's the #1 draft choice. But this has been the only excitement that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been able to generate throughout this day.
And this one came right on the heels of a Phoenix touchdown. So it was a great lift for the Steelers at this point as Woodson went the 92 yards. They were right back in it. We had an even ball game at 7-7. But from that time on, it has been all the Cardinals in this one who lead it now 24-7. Lomax has a pair of touchdown passes. We saw the short one going to J.T. Smith for 3 yards, but he also hooked up to Awald, the tight end, for 32 yards in their first score. There was also a field goal of 19 yards in there contributed by Del Greco as we look at the first half stats.
Well, the numbers pretty much tell you what you'd expect. 258 total yards by the Cardinals. Pittsburgh's only been able to get 143. Todd Blackledge just been really ineffective out there. The Steelers haven't been able to do anything, as you can see, passing 110 yards. So you would expect the score to be what it is, 24-7. Pittsburgh trailing the Phoenix Cardinals. I don't know what Chuck Noll said at halftime. There's not much you can say in a situation like this, especially with a young team. You know, you want to say to them, look, keep your chins up and let's try and pull this one out. It's not over yet, and all those coaching cliches. But the way Phoenix is playing right now, I think it's going to take a miracle for the Steelers.
Well, our conversations with Noel yesterday, of course, he was saying the thing that we must do is eliminate the mistakes that have plagued us the last few weeks. 16 turnovers in the last 3 games, and then they started out with 2 turnovers here in the first quarter today. As we mentioned, they got back into a ball game where they were even at 7-7. Then Phoenix just seemed to lift it to another level behind this man, Lomax, and Lomax has been able now to enjoy better than 200 yards passing in this first half. He had a 340-plus yard game last Sunday against the Rams. He's putting up some numbers.
Seemed like he had 340 in the first half of this one. I was looking at Chuck Noll over on the sideline, and you have to wonder what goes through a man's mind like Chuck Noll, who's had so much success in this league. And to see his team at this point, I don't think it's over yet for the Steelers as far as the season's concerned. But I don't hear Chuck Noll uttering the R word, and by that I mean rebuild. And that may be what he's doing right now with his team.
Well, he's in his 36th year as a professional football and his 20th year as head coach with the Steelers. And we mentioned coming in that this is a club that hadn't lost 4 in a row since 1969 until last week. And right now they've got 30 minutes to try to get something going here. They're going to be looking at a 5-game losing streak. And Noel was saying this week that if you think it's tough when you've lost 4 in a row, you get yourself in a situation late in the season where a losing streak really compounds itself, then it is difficult. Well, this second half kickoff sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. The Cardinals kicking off here to the Steelers. Steelers trailing in this one. High score of 24-7. And the ball is mishandled by Woodson. Back into the end zone, and he goes down on one knee. So Woodson, who had that 192-yard burst to glory in the first half, unable to get anything going this time, and so they'll bring the ball out to the 20-yard line.
Well, it's so easy to say that this is an important series for Pittsburgh, but it is, and so is every time they touch the ball here in the third quarter.
Well,
if they're going to get in this game, they've got to do it now.
Let's take a look at the muff here at the 5-yard line.
I was hoping you would explain that rule, Gary.
Well, this is not the muff as we know it in officialese, so to speak, the type that goes through the end zone when you're trying to score. It was mishandled. This was a case, I think, of the Sun. He was looking right up into it. Here's Blackledge in trouble, and down he goes. Leading the charge in there once again, Freddie Joe Nunn coming into this game. 15 sacks in his last 17 starts. And he has been providing pressure all afternoon for the Cardinals against the Steelers.
Finally got the sack that time. Nobody open. There's number 78. He's a stun on by the lineman and pressure by both of them, and Nunn makes the play, but Blackledge really had no place to go. Nobody open.
Freddie Joe Nunn had plenty of help from Bob Clasby, who was right alongside, so a 10-yard loss moves the ball back to the 10-yard line. Merrill Hodge is now in the backfield behind Blackledge. He's number 33, and also joining him is number 30, Frank Pollard. Pollard just activated this week after being out of action with a knee injury. Pass is in and out of the arms of Ouija Thompson at the 25, and that was nearly picked off. Cedric Mack had a shot at it on the rebound as it went through the grasp of Thompson.
I think maybe Ouija should have caught that one. Would have been good for at least get it out to a decent field position for Pittsburgh. And watch it again. You make the decision. Number 87's a pro wide receiver. This ball's thrown to him. I think he should have caught it.
Well, he was up in position, and it just went sliding through. 2 weeks ago against Buffalo, he caught 4 balls for 118 yards. Been tough going thus far this afternoon against the Cardinals. Third down and 20 now for Pittsburgh. trailing 24-7, just underway, third quarter, sets up the screen for Hodge. And he bumps his way out to the 14-yard line. Nice open field pop by Carl Carter to bring him down. So they'll be well short of the first down, and the punting unit comes on the field now for Pittsburgh.
Gain of 4. 4th and 16 at the 14.
Pittsburgh has struggled. They haven't had a rushing attack. They've been able to generate an average of only 106.5 yards a game through the first 5 weeks of the season. Now they're in a catch-up situation today, trailing 24-7, and at least on this series, unable to generate any yardage through the air. Harry Newsom standing back on the goal line. Sikahema, the punt return specialist for the Cardinals. Kick backs him up to the 34-yard line, and Sikahema looking for the picket line on the right side of the field. Breaks one tackle at the 40 out to the 46-yard line before he is brought down. So 3 plays and out for the Steelers on their first series of the second half. The Cardinals with the lead will have the football when we come back in a moment.
52-yard punt.
Saw some of the fortunate spectators who are in the shade on this broiling afternoon in the Arizona deserts, and they're happy to be there, you know. The ball at the 46-yard line. The Cardinals in possession. Their first series now of the second half, leading Pittsburgh 24-7. Hand off inside to Farrell. Breaks through across the 50 to about the 48-yard line. And was knocked down. Keith Gary in there to make the stop for the Steelers.
If you look at Farrell, it's interesting to note that with Farrell and Mitchell, the Cardinals have 2 running backs in the top 10 in yardage in the National Football League. And yet, as we've seen today, they set up that running game with a passing game. Lomax has been hot in the first half throwing the ball. That loosens up everything for the running game, and I expect to see Farrell and Mitchell have a pretty good second half running it.
From the 48-yard line in Pittsburgh territory now, second down. Cardinals in possession. And off again to Farrell inside, and this time there's nothing happening whatsoever. Line of scrimmage has popped up. Well, you talk about how dry it is. There's a great example. Look at that shot. You can see the chalk and one thing or another just kind of in the air but hanging. Not any wind movement at all down below. There is wind up on the lip of the stadium, way above the stadium, and that's our vantage point where there's breeze.
You know, Gary, as a player, I'm not sure which is worse. Playing in heat like this, 100 degrees and the dust and the dryness, or playing in Pittsburgh in December, or Boston or New York or Philadelphia where it's, you know, it could get to be 0 degrees. I think either one. You don't want to do either one.
It's an extreme, that's
right,
for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned also that this field had to be totally repainted. There was a college game, Arizona State. This is their home stadium. They lost to Washington yesterday afternoon, so the ground crew was at work all night long getting this field ready for an NFL game today. Lomax going deep. There's the man Green, and the penalty marker coming. Yes, at the 7-yard line. Green was going to have a small fit there if that flag wasn't thrown, because he knew he'd been impeded, and it appeared to be pretty clear to most of us that there was more than casual contact.
Makes you wonder why the flag was so late in coming. It's Ron Woodson that gets beaten again. And I say again because it seems to be happening a lot today. There's Green behind him. See him reach up there and grab him? No question
Just
about it.
The arm.
You can see what Green thinks about it.
I saw the official was having a problem. He went to his hip, but he missed it on the first pass, and so he was having to dig back there to make sure he had the penalty marker. That's why there was that slight delay.
I don't know what Woodson's problem is. He's had a terrific game running back kicks, 192 yards for a touchdown, but he's having trouble in coverage. Let's listen to the call. I don't know why they have to have a meeting about this. It was fairly evident what happened.
Everybody else is walking back toward midfield. That's interesting. The flag is down at the 8-yard line.
It looks like Johnny Greer's got it straight.
Defense, first down.
Isn't that what we thought?
5-yard penalty. 1st and 10 at the 42.
Okay, it was a question of where to mark the ball. That's what it was.
5 yards, puts the ball at the 42-yard line, closer to the 41 actually now. Cardinals in Pittsburgh territory. One of the concerns that Gene Stallings had yesterday when we spoke with him was protection for Lomax, and even though the Steelers have gotten to him a couple of times today, when he has the time to throw, they've just been eating up that Pittsburgh secondary. One series in particular, 3 straight passes where every receiver was wide open. This is Farrell inside, as now they continue to hammer on the ground, and they get inside the 40 to about the 37-yard line.
Now's the time for the Cardinals to use that huge offensive line they've got up front there. The Cardinals offensive line trying to get a little bit of a notoriety for themselves. I think they've come up with a nickname. calling themselves the Wide Bodies. And as you look at that picture, I guess it's fairly evident as to how they came up with that name. All of them are about 290 pounds. They've got T-shirts out and this sort of thing. And that's all well and good. What you've got to do is win, but that's definitely Wide Bodies. No question about that.
DC-10 territory down there. At the 37-yard line. Cardinals fake the inside handoff. Now come deep now to Stump Mitchell. He's in trouble. Mitchell being chased, trying to elude the grasp of Greg Carr. Does so for a couple of yards, but not much at all working that time for Stump Mitchell.
3rd and 12 at the 43.
Stump Mitchell's real name is Livonia Alberts. He was nicknamed from a brother, and I guess with a name like that, it's no wonder they said a lot easier to call him Stump.
I hope it was early in his life that they gave him Stump instead of Livonia. Otherwise, he had a fight while he was growing up.
Saw the difference in the numbers that the quarterbacks have produced today. A decided advantage for Lomax, who has the ball in his possession right now, along with a 24-7 lead. 4 minutes gone here in the third quarter at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Roy Green is split wide to the left, and now J.T. Smith moves toward the right side of the field in motion. Here comes the Pittsburgh blitz. Lomax picks it up and fires deep, has to throw it away. Wanted to go to Green in the middle, but he had all kinds of black jerseys coming straight at him.
That time that Pittsburgh came up with a safety blitz, that time it was Delton Hall, and for the longest time I was wondering when Pittsburgh was going to do that. Watch it again from the left, from the right of your screen here. The linebackers are blitzing, but number 35 will get in, and that's him right there. With all that pressure on the secondary, you've got to put some pressure on the quarterback to give him a chance back there. Finally, they did it.
Lomax had 5 receivers, or 4 receivers, I'm sorry, that he was trying to keep an eye on that time. He elected to go down the middle to Green and had to hurry it just a bit. So, punting situation for one of the rare times today. Greg Horn is on now for the Cardinals. Aiming for the far corner. Not going to get to the corner. In fact, it's taken at the 5-yard line by Woodson. Woodson, one of the best returners in the league, gets out to the 25-yard line, so he ran it back about 20 yards. And Pittsburgh will go to work once again now. Their first series in the second half produced nothing. We'll see what they can generate in a moment when we come back. Steelers trail to 7. Looking at the games coming up next week on NBC Sports. Cincinnati, New England, Houston, Pittsburgh, Raiders against Kansas City. San Diego and Miami will go at it in the late game. That's next weekend on NBC. Right now, in a 24-7 ball game, Phoenix leading Pittsburgh. Steelers with their hands in the football from their own 25-yard line. Their second possession of the third quarter. Blackledge trying to get something going. Ouija Thompson, the intended receiver, got his feet tangled that time. Cedric Mack, he was back there defending, and Thompson went sprawling. No chance to hang on to that one.
Watch it again. You can't see the quarterback, but it's a short drop. Ouija Thompson should be looking right now. It should take it a little sharper to the inside. You see how he kind of made it straight out? He should have cut it back to the inside and give his quarterback a chance to hit him. Might have been interference. I don't think so. Referee didn't either, and that's what counts.
So 2nd and 10 from the 25. 10:39 to play, according to one clock. Yes, I guess that's confirmed on the other. We were misled by one of the clocks at the end of the first half, and here's a sack on the part of Nico Noga. Frank Pollard barely got the football in his midriff, and suddenly Nico Noga, coming right up the middle, was right in his face.
I think Nico Noga might have been in Pittsburgh's huddle. Watch him here, number 57. As you look at it, as Pollard looks at it, there he is, 57. He reads it right from the beginning. No chance to block him. Great play by Noga, who perhaps is feeling the pressure of Ricky Hundley behind him. Still playing pretty well, though.
Nico Noga from Hawaii, third leading tackler on the ball club, a native of American Samoa, says he's going to become an underwater welder when his football playing days are over. Interesting occupation.
A big demand for that?
3rd and 15 from the 20. I'm not certain. Blackledge back to the 10, sets up and fires and completes this one to Ouija Thompson at the 43-yard line. Be enough for the first down. So one of the few times today they've been able to hook up, but there is a penalty marker down, I'm sorry to say, and the preliminary indication, if you're a Steeler fan, is not good. It's a hold against Pittsburgh. So even when they do things right, somebody managed to do something wrong. Some at the worst time.
Holding, 60 offense. Still 3rd down.
60 is Brian Blankenship.
Working at the left guard spot. He's the 3rd guard to work in that position this year. They've had to juggle things around extensively because of injuries on the left side of the line.
At the 10.
Had the rookie DeMonte Dawson in there for a while until he had a knee injury, and that resulted in Blankenship getting the call. So now even longer yardage on this third down play for the Steelers. Blackledge with time fires up the middle and overthrows the intended receiver Lewis Lips. Well, we're going to New York now. Let's check in once again for an update. Here's Gail Gardner.
Thank you, Gary. The American League Championship Series is over. 4-game sweep for the Oakland A's. They beat the Red Sox today 4-1. You're looking at the final out as it's pulled in by Mike Gallego. Dave Stewart the win. Dennis Eckersley saved number 4. He's the MVP. Let's go back to Phoenix.
And back in Phoenix, Cardinals leading 24-7. Harry Newsom getting off a short kick from the goal line. This one going out to about midfield. Fair catch is called for by Sekahima, actually at the 44-yard line, so it wasn't as short as that kick may have first looked. So it's time for another commercial break. 9:07 to play here in this third quarter with Phoenix leading 24-7.
45 yards.
Game number 1 of the World Series will be Saturday, and we know at this point that the Oakland A's will be involved. The A's today behind Dave Stewart, 4 hitting the Boston Red Sox. Oakland wins it 4-1 in a sweep. Stewart gets his second win. Eckersley his 4th save in the series, and Jose Canseco hit another home run, his 3rd in the series. A's winning it 4-1. Game number 1 coming up Saturday on NBC. Cardinals with the football, leading at 24-7. Here's another completed pass, and this time it's J.T. Smith teaming up with Neil Lomax. Lomax, who had better than 200 yards passing at intermission, going to work here in this second Phoenix series of the third quarter.
Just a slant in. Woodruff has got no chance without inside help here. And the inside help, as you can see, is number 27, arriving just a little bit too late. Thomas Everett. Good pass by Lomax. Got the strong arm, drilled it right in there.
All just short of the 41-yard line now as Cardinals go to work in Pittsburgh territory. Awalt, the tight end, is motion. Now the running backs, Farrell and Mitchell, swap positions. And Lomax ready to throw once again. A couple of quick fakes, has great protection. Now fires to that slant man out of the backfield, and it is Stump Mitchell, pulled down by Tyrone Stowe. Now close to the 32-yard line, got almost enough for another first down. Will be a little bit short, it looks like, maybe a pickup of 9.5 yards.
Lomax has got a problem with his hip. His left hip has got arthritis in it. He's not going to worry about that today because nobody lays a hand on him. Look how much time he's got here. Looking around, finally, Stump Mitchell alters his pattern. Quarterback finds him. Nothing to it if you're Neil Lomax and not getting any pressure at all.
One of the luxuries that Lomax has is a great arsenal of receivers. Last week he had 8 different men that he teamed up with, completed passes too, and he's been just as effective in this ball game today, throwing in all directions. Farrell on the ground this time, slides out to the right side to about the 31-yard line.
Tackled by Nickerson.
Hardy Nickerson
working in the right inside linebacking spot with a tackle.
We're talking about Lomax as we look at him there. Finally, a veteran quarterback in his 8th year. Gene Stallings says he's finally reached the point where he has the confidence in Lomax, who understands the offense, knows exactly what he's doing out there, understands everything they're trying to do, and on top of that, he's got the arm that he needs, and you can see why. Lomax, all of a sudden, this season, having a tremendous year. Thrown last week for 342 yards against the Rams, and he's so much in control of this offense here today.
Well, at one time, and he played college ball up at Portland State in Oregon, he held 90 different Division I AA records. That's just astounding. 90 records. Yeah, you wouldn't have thought there would be that many to hold. On the ground, Stump Mitchell inside the 30 to about the 28-yard line. Tom Everett is there for the Pittsburgh stop.
Well, with all due respect to Portland State, though, what division was that anyway? 90 records, huh? He may set a few in the NFL if he keeps playing like this.
He's had some big days as we update the 10-minute ticker. Checking finals. Games were played earlier today. Green Bay with just a big win over New England. The Pack has got to be flying high after that one. Minnesota edges Tampa Bay. Miami over the Raiders in the third. Denver trailing San Francisco. That's a low-scoring ball game in the third quarter. Another pass attempt on the near side to J.T. Smith, but Smith unable to hang on to this one. J.T. Smith is one of those guys, and we were talking about this yesterday at practice, John, as we watched the replay. 3 years in Kansas City, he had a total of 25 receptions, and then His last 3 years with the Cardinals, he's caught the ball 214 times coming into this ballgame. You wonder what happened. What was the difference in personnel that results in such a dramatic swing in numbers?
I have to think it might be the quarterback. He comes here, he's got Lomax. In Kansas City, he had Todd Blackledge, who we're seeing on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Clearly, Blackledge has had a struggle thus far today for the Steelers. Third down now for the Cardinals. In Pittsburgh territory at the 28. Lomax out of the shotgun over the middle, finds one of those tight ends. It's Jay Novacek at the 15-yard line. That'll be good for a first down. Delton Hall was there with the tackle, but Jay Novacek, who has really emerged as a fine receiver, particularly in the last couple of weeks.
He really has. Novacek lines up at tight end, but he's got wide receiver speed, and that causes all sorts of problems for the secondary as he gets loose on the inside. Watch the hit by 27 there, Everett, right in the head. That should have been a flag.
Well, while we have the injury timeout, we'll take a break here with 6:15 to go in the third quarter. Phoenix leading and threatening.
1st and 10 at the 15.
Looking at Thomas Everett on the sideline after he was shaken up, and let's look at the hit that he put on Novacek.
Let's see why he's holding his right wrist. Look at this, right to the head. Justice is served on this one because there wasn't a flag, but Everett was the guy that got hurt.
At the 15-yard line, Cardinals now with a first down after that last pass completion. We'll update numbers on Lomax in a moment. He's going to the end zone, and he just overthrows the intended receiver, J.T. Smith. Dwayne Woodruff back there in the corner helping out. Lomax now 14 of 22, 254 yards on the afternoon, as we'll take a second look isolated here against J.T. Smith.
I don't mean to harp on the Pittsburgh secondary, but look at Woodruff. I mean, this is not even close. It just bites on the inside move, and it wasn't a great move. Should have been a touchdown.
Woodruff, who last year came back from an 86 knee injury impressively, a man who has 26 career interceptions and a couple of career touchdowns, but he was struggling on that last play. Here's Stump Mitchell on the ground on the left side, down in the vicinity of the 12-13-yard line. Woodruff bumping up to make the tackle on this particular stop. Counting down toward the 5.5-minute mark here in the third quarter in a game that is now settled in, 24-7. Phoenix in the lead, and threatening to add more as we take another look at Stump Mitchell on the prowl.
Seems like the Cardinals can do just about anything they want offensively. They've been in control of this one throughout. Running it with Stump Mitchell there, running it with Earl Farrell, throwing to the wide receivers, even throwing to the two tight ends. Pittsburgh has not been able to stop anything. The yardage really doesn't tell you the story there. 8 carries for 27 yards. He just hasn't used him that often.
A 5-yard rushing average for the season coming into this game today, and an impressive total 362 yards. Hasn't had that many yards today, but they haven't really needed it thus far. 6-man rush. They pick it up. Oh, what a terrific move by J.T. Smith for a Phoenix touchdown. Touchdown pass number 3 on the afternoon for Lomax, who comes off. Second touchdown reception by Smith. But the move that he made on Greg Lee, was that something, John Morris?
What a move by Smith in his 11th year, the veteran. And he taught the rookie a lesson that time. J.T. Smith for his second touchdown of the day. And that one he earned. That one he had to work for. Great move for the touchdown.
Well, in the first 5 weeks of the season, J.T. Smith had not scored, but he's got 2 of them to think about here this afternoon as the Cardinals push the advantage now to 30-7. And Del Greco is on to try to make it 31. Ball is spotted up and it is through. So Neil Lomax with his third touchdown score of the day with 4:57 to play now in the third quarter. It's a 31-7 ball game. We'll take an end zone look.
Watch the move as he comes out of the left corner of your screen. Number 21 is Lee. Thinks he's going the other. Whoops, back the other way. And another good move to get into the end zone. Terrific play, J.T. Smith. Watch this now. He makes 2 moves, really. Number 27, Thomas Everett can't make the play either. Touchdown, J.T. Smith. He's done that a few times in his career in 11 years. Second one today.
And the Phoenix Cardinals, who've been scoring points in big bunches the last 3 weeks, are continuing it today. They had 30 against Tampa, 30 against Washington, 41 against the Rams, and they've got 31 with 4:57 to play in the third quarter today.
You can see why Smith, as we look at him, was a leading receiver in the NFL last year with 91 catches. If he does it like that all the time, you can see why. Gene Stallings, you think he was losing, wouldn't you, looking at him? Oh, there's one smile. Okay. The crowd's finally getting into this, but only at the prompting of the Cardinal players who went out on the field and acted as cheerleaders.
Lance Smith, who plays right guard on the interior line, is on the kick team, is one of those out there, and he's really doing everything he can, number 61, trying to crank up this crowd and generate some noise.
It is strange, isn't it? If the team's winning and winning convincingly and impressively, I didn't know the crowd was here.
I think the heat has a lot to do with that. Woodson mishandles another one, and he steps out of bounds at the 4-yard line.
Woodson returns, marked out of bounds at the 4.
Well, you have to wonder, does the crowd, was it a factor at all in that play there on the part of Woodson?
I don't think Woodson hurt the crowd at all. He just mishandled the ball. He
That's
doesn't do that very often. But
second time that he's mishandled the ball after he went 92 yards on a kick return for a touchdown in the first half.
Woodson's got 92 yards for a touchdown, but other than that, it's been a tough day for him as he just drops it to get out of bounds.
Oh, he tried to squeeze the toes down, but he knew he was in trouble.
His offense does not need this right now.
Frustration factor really escalating for the Pittsburgh Steelers now, who trail 31-7 late in the third quarter, and they have to operate from their own 4-yard line. Blackledge hands off to Dwight Stone. Counters back with a nice move out across the 10 to the 12-yard line, and that quiets the crowd a little bit. Nice little counter step there on the part of second-year player Dwight Stone.
Well, Dwight Stone started the game. Ernest Jackson had started up to that point, did not start today, and I can't remember seeing him too often today. As we look at the replay of Stone here, just a good individual effort as the Pittsburgh trapping offensive line makes a nice hole for him there. But I haven't seen much of Jackson. It's hard to understand why the leading rusher for the team is not going to play much today.
Well, we haven't seen Warren Williams either, and we expected both of those men to start. Second down, they need one from the 12-yard line. Pollard gets the first down and a couple of more as he's out close to the 18 or 19-yard line, sweeping on the right side. Nico Noga there with the tackle for the Cardinals.
Well, it's one thing to try and establish a running game. It's another thing when you're down 31-7 and you've only got 3:55 remaining in the third quarter.
John, I was just using the binoculars. We'll update the 10-minute ticker, and we'll alert our crew if they can free a camera at all and get a look at that thermometer down in the corner of the end zone. You're not going to believe what we're seeing right now through the binoculars. New Orleans now leading San Diego after San Diego had enjoyed the early advantage. Look at that. That baby is pegged. Can you believe it? That's down on the field here at Tempe, Arizona at Sun Devil Stadium. Better than 120 degrees. And when you're trailing 31-7, oh my, must feel like so much more. Going deep, the intended receiver on the near side was Troy Johnson. Couldn't quite get there. Carl Carter defending. We asked Chuck Noll yesterday, I said, you know, how long would you stay with a quarterback? Would you be inclined, if things are not going well, to give Steve Bono a shot? And his indication was, no, he was going to stay with Todd Blackledge. He didn't want to get into a quarterback controversy. He didn't want to get into one of those guessing games. But you can't help but wonder, with 3:20 to go in the third quarter, trailing 31-7, the ineffectiveness of the Steelers today, if he'll try to shake things up and bring Bono in. Blackledge looking to the left side, and this one was overthrown again. Not even close. There was no opportunity for Charles Lockett to pull that one down.
Not sure that Bono's the answer, though. He's a replacement player that's been cut 3 or 4 times. As we've seen injured Steeler on it. I think that's Terry Long. Is it? Am I right? Let's
yes,
see.
It is.
74 is Terry Long, grabbing his ankle.
Right guard. Boy, I hate to see that. Here's a line that's already had its problems with injuries. Blackledge is now 8 for 19, 114 total yards as we take a look at Terry Long.
It gives us a chance to talk about the injuries on that offensive line for Pittsburgh. Buddy Idolette was a starter. He was out with a knee injury in preseason. John Reenstra, broken leg. He may come back. But those are 2 starters, and you mentioned Dawson was a 3rd starter. He's out too, so there's been some real problems with Pittsburgh there on their offensive line. But getting back to Bono, I wanted to finish up on that thought. As a replacement player who's been cut a couple of times, was ineffective in the second half against Cleveland when he had to come in. I don't think he's the answer. I'm almost tempted to say that they'd be better off with Bubby Brister in there, even though he is injured.
Brister was hurt late in the third quarter last week at Cleveland, and Bono came in, and Bono, in a catch-up situation, went to the air 23 times, and he was only able to complete 7 of the actually 24. And so you may well be right. Telecast today, of course, presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Phoenix Cardinals and the National Football League is prohibited. This game is the property of the NFL. Pittsburgh Steelers and Phoenix Cardinals. All rights are reserved.
Still looking at Terry Long, Pittsburgh starting right guard, and the shortest offensive lineman in the National Football League at 5'11". Some of the Phoenix fans here dressed for the occasion. I don't know, sitting out in that sun all day long. It's just as bad being a fan as a player.
Well, I think that's part of the thing we were touching on. You're surprised at the lack of the crowd noise. And when it's as hot as it is today and you're sitting out there, these folks in the shade, they've got a little advantage. They might be able to generate some noise, but the folks in the sun, and the vast majority is in the sun here today at Sun Devil Stadium.
You know, speaking of the heat, Gary, you mentioned Don Shula in Miami in the old days, and Shula had this thing. We try to convince his players, and I think he said it so many times they finally believed it, that, hey, this hot weather down here, this is our weather. And nobody can beat us down here in this weather. These other teams come in, they haven't got a chance. And I think that's what Stallings here is trying to do in Phoenix. He's trying to convince his players that, hey, this is us, and Pittsburgh can't handle it, or any of the opposing teams can't handle it. And it really works after a while. It gets to be a psychological thing, and even though it's 120 degrees down there, after a while, maybe the players will start to think, hey, maybe it isn't all that hot. But there is a psychological advantage to that. Maybe not so much this early in the season, but later on in the season when the teams from the cold weather cities that have gotten accustomed to the cold weather then have to come down here and play.
On a day when it's in the mid-50s, we're told, in Pittsburgh, and you see what the situation is, well over 120 degrees on the field here in Tempe, Arizona. They continue to administer to Terry Long, who is stretched out. And just outside this stadium, you see the cacti on the hill up there, and there's a couple of die-hard fans up there. Oh, I can't imagine how dry and hot it is up there. Just right over the backside of the stadium. Well, Long is now up and is being escorted off the field. He's able to walk off under his own power as we update final scores around the league. Buffalo a winner over Indianapolis, Seattle over Cleveland. Houston beat Kansas City today. Green Bay with their big win. Chicago easily over Detroit. All finals. Rams in a shutout. Washington in a big victory over Dallas. Minnesota nipped Tampa Bay. Close ball game there, 14-13. Those were all the earlier games today. Jim Boyle has now come in to replace Terry Long. Boyle, second-year player from Tulane, will now operate in the interior line in the right guard spot. Blackledge, who's had little success today in the passing department, tries once again, and this one out of the grasp of Lewis Phipps.
Blackledge's pass incomplete. Fourth down.
Blackledge now 8 for 20 and 114 yards on our unofficial tally at this point, and a fourth down situation coming up. Still 10 yards needed for the Steelers.
Sakahima deep for Phoenix.
Harry Newsom in his fourth year, and Vi Sakahima, he's been one of the premier return men the last couple of years. Is one of those guys who can lend a lot of excitement to a football game. It's been, for the most part, bottled up today. Newsom handles the high snap and gets off the kick. Sakahima being driven back to about the 27-yard line. Penalty marker is down as he tries to go to work. Gets across the 35, and that's all.
Sakahima returns.
Anthony Hinton downfield to make the tackle. And also Merrill Hodge.
54-yard punt.
54 yards on the punch as we remind you that tonight Disney comes home to NBC with the season premiere of The Magical World of Disney. After that, an hour of comedy with super bloopers and new practical jokes. And the last will continue with the NBC Sunday night movie, Going to the Chapel. All coming up tonight, only on NBC. Folks up at the top of the stadium looking down. Our vantage point here right at the 50-yard line is really high in the air at Sun Devil Stadium. Sprained right ankle is the indication we've just received on the injury to Terry Long. It's not known if he'll be able to return. Take a look at the productivity of the Phoenix Cardinals in the last 3 weeks after losing their first two by just a total of 10 points. They lead this one with 2:55 to play third quarter, 31-7.
Well, they lost those first two. One to Cincinnati, one to Dallas, but as you said, close games. But since that point, Lomax and the offense have really come alive, haven't they?
Gene Stallings took a lot of heat on that loss to Dallas because of a play at the end of the first half on a fake field goal attempt that didn't produce anything except frustration and a lot of controversy. But they've since come back to win 3 in a row, and they seem to be well on their way to winning a fourth straight today. Stump Mitchell, left side across the 15, hurdles one man, and then is hammered out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. David Little was the guy that was down there who punched him out of bounds. Some of the officials had their hats off a bit earlier because of the heat today, and I understand that They were admonished, no, guys, I'm sorry. It's part of the uniform. You got to wear it.
Pete Rozelle got wind of that and said the hats are back on.
Louis Sharp is the man who is down now for the Cardinals. Pro bowler in 1987. Good pass blocker. Anchors the left side of the Phoenix interior line out of UCLA.
Sure is a good one. #1 draft choice in '82. I think he spent a couple of years in the USFL and finally made the Pro Bowl last year. Looks like he's okay.
This is the Phoenix Ball Club, you know, coming into this game today. First time that they've been in first place after 5 weeks of the season since 1974. And they won 7 in a row that year starting out. They ended up 10-4 in that particular season. And a lot of people are starting to think about some of those days now as they appear to be on their way to a 4th consecutive victory, leading this one 31-7. Clock running once again now after the ball put in play. Farrell countering out across the 25 to about the 27-yard line. So the Cardinals now content to work on the ground and using some clock here as we near the 2-minute mark of the 3rd quarter, leading at 31-7.
I think you're right about the Cardinals, Gary. This team's for real. They've been rebuilding for a couple of years. They almost made the playoffs last year when they lost that final game and knocked them out of the playoffs. Now they're playing extremely well. They look like they believe in themselves.
I'll tell you, they're going to be tested in the next few weeks. Next week they're at Washington, and then they've got Cleveland here, and then they're at Dallas, and then they have San Francisco here. So they're going to face some pretty good ball clubs in the next 4 weeks.
But they're here. Is that what you said, right?
At the 26-yard line, Lomax with a pitch to Stump Mitchell. At the 30, he's knocked down. Well short of the first down. Of course, second coming up, picked up about 4 or 5 that time. Making the tackle was Keith Gary, 6-year veteran from Oklahoma. He played a couple of years in the Canadian Football League before joining the Steelers back in 1983.
That's that offensive line of the Cardinals. Those are the wide bodies out in front, and everybody's got a hat on somebody. That's going to be the reason for the success of this running game. That's a good veteran offensive line that's played together for a while. Gelling as a unit right now.
Lomax with 3 touchdown passes to his credit today, sets his club at the 30-yard line. Penalty markers down. Not going anywhere on that particular thrust to the right side. Jordan runs into Jerry Reese. Tony Jordan, who had a touchdown earlier on a 1-yard dive right up the middle.
It's about the 6th time Pittsburgh's defensive line has been drawn off sides. And it's just lack of concentration. I mean, there's just no excuse for that sort of thing. And I know Joe Green over there is going crazy thinking about it.
Offside. 64 defense. Second down.
Jerry Reese, who figured on the tackle, was the man who was called for being offside, and we'll take a second look.
See if you can see Lomax. Is he pulling them off sides? I don't think so. I think both the linemen are moving at the same time. They're right there in front of the ball. Reese is going to go over the sideline now and be told what he did wrong as if he doesn't know.
No big numbers on the ground for the Cards today. Farrell has 31 yards and 13 carries. Mitchell has 36 yards on 10 carries. Passing yardage has been pretty much the story as far as the Cardinals building this 31-7 lead. Farrell out to the 40-yard line this time. Has enough for another first down, and we're counting down the final seconds here of the 3rd quarter. That may well be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Lupe Sanchez in the tackle, and we see the clock counted down.
1st and 10 at the 40.
So we'll have 15 more minutes of action from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Phoenix trying to win it. 4th straight ball game. On top of this one, 31-7. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Today's game here in Phoenix brought to you by Plymouth and the 9 most important words that Plymouth knows. Also Michelob. We'll talk about that when we get to our billboards in just a moment. Right now we're ready for the first play in 4th quarter action with the ball at the 40-yard line. I was wondering why I wasn't hearing that familiar music in the background. Lomax, for one of the few times today, in trouble, and he goes down in the grasp of Greg Carr. So he is dropped back at the 35-yard line. For the most part, things have gone very, very well of late for Lomax and company as the Cardinals lead this one 31-7. In case you're just joining us,
Carr with his 2nd sack of the day. He's also had an interception, and you're right, this is one of the few times that Lomax has been in trouble. You'll see number 91 come finally around from behind that time to make the play.
So at the 34, it's now 2nd down, and about 15 yards needed for the first. Loss of 5. Lomax with touchdown passes today to his tight end Awalt, and also a pair of TD tosses to J.T. Smith. Hits this one off. It was intended for Awalt. Good defensive effort by Brian Hinkle, the left outside backer, actually working on the right side of the field that time. Hinkle getting a hand as he stretched out there to knock that one away.
Good job by Hinkle that time. As we look at Lomax, he's trying to understand where number 53 came from. This is a chance to mention, we haven't mentioned Merriweather, Mike Merriweather, linebacker for Pittsburgh, who has not signed, looking for some more money, looking for a lot more money as far as actually, he has signed. He's under contract, and he wants it renegotiated. Pittsburgh has got enough problems. They certainly need all the players that they've got.
Three-time Pro Bowler and last year's Steelers MVP, and they've been without his services all season long. Third down. Lomax has got 3 wide receivers as he puts Roy Green in motion now. 4 wide receivers. He overlooked somebody down here at the bottom of the screen. Now Lomax dancing around and finds a man right over the middle at about the 44-yard line, and I'm not sure. It may have been Ernie Jones.
Complete to Novacek.
Novacek it is instead, the tight end. It was 85 as opposed to 86. Trying to keep tabs of many receivers that time and ended up with the wrong one. But Novacek, who had a couple of big grabs earlier in the ball game, comes up with one here that is short of the first down. The ball is the 44-yard line. So Greg Horn comes on, and we would anticipate the punt here on the part of the Cardinals, just underway on the fourth quarter.
Woodson deep to receive for Pittsburgh.
Woodson stands back here at the 12-yard line. Woodson had the lone touchdown of the day for the Steelers, and that was on a kickoff return, not a punt. He went 92 yards. Oh, here's a beautiful punt. High, long, hanging up there. Fair catch called for at the 5 or 6 yard line. Boy, Greg Horn has been doing a super job for the Cardinals in the kicking department today. Everything going right for Phoenix as they have this one in control at 31-7. Enjoying a very hot afternoon in the Arizona deserts. The Cardinals enjoying this one more than anybody as they lead at 31-7. Pittsburgh Steelers have made a quarterback change. Steve Bono, the 4th-year man out of UCLA, who played in the absence of Brister last week when Brister was hurt, has now come on to replace Blackledge. Blackledge had 20 attempted passes, completed 8 for 114 yards, did not have a scoring pass. The only Pittsburgh score generated on that touchdown kickoff return by Woodson. So Bono goes to work now and completes his first throw. Whitestone out of the backfield at the 15-yard line.
An unfair situation for this quarterback, but when you're the third-team quarterback, you got to take what you can get. And every time he comes into the game, it's under a difficult situation. I can't imagine anything worse than this. As we look at the stats, this will tell you how bad it is. 43 yards rushing, 114 yards passing. The Cardinal defense has been outstanding today, as has their offense, obviously.
Time of possession difference better than 10 minutes as well. A lot of yards rolled up by the Cardinals in this 31-7 advantage. This was a 7-7 ball game at one time, midway late first quarter. Frank Pollard working the right side, and that's been a familiar scene today because trying to establish the run against this Pittsburgh or against this Phoenix defense has been very, very difficult.
Freddie Joe Nunn, number 78, what a game he's had today. And he's playing against what many people think is Pittsburgh's best offensive lineman until Chiplin.
New Orleans by 6 over San Diego. Last report, Miami over the Raiders 24-7. Here it's a 31-7 ball game. Phoenix leading Pittsburgh in the fourth quarter. 2 weeks ago, we had mentioned earlier that the Cardinals held Washington to 53 yards rushing. Last week, they held the Rams to 85 total yards, and Pittsburgh with under 150 yards in this one thus far. Hodge trying to break something outside, gets out to the 25-yard line, and that's been one of the best efforts on the ground as far as yardage accumulated for the Steelers today, and they got a first down on the ground, and those have been few and far between. So
don't need first downs right now, though, do they? 31-7.
Yeah, they need a lot more than first downs, but at least for Steve Bono, it's generated a little momentum here as far as the Steelers are concerned.
Number 74, Terry Long out in front. Good to see him back because he had limped off earlier with an ankle problem.
Yeah, we thought perhaps that was going to be one of those situations where he might be sidelined for a while because he was down on the ground for an extended period of time. And he is back in his spot at right guard. Hodge now goes in the slot on the right side. The lone setback is Carter, number 24. Bono looking out here, trying to go to Carter, and that one was knocked down by E.J. Jr. Junior almost again coming up with another interception, or an opportunity for an interception.
Again, speed on the outside will do it every time. I think there's Junior as we watch him. That's the second time today I've seen him do that. And Bono a little late with a throw, but Junior with that good speed to the outside managed to get to the sideline and make a play out of it.
He's a man who wants to become a physician when his playing days are over, specializing in drug and alcohol abuse treatment. He's been studying as a pre-med student. Well, at the 25-yard line, Steelers trailing 31-7 in the fourth quarter at Tempe, Arizona. Bono dancing around, now flips the ball out here, and he overthrows the intended receiver, Mike Hinnant.
Bono came in last week against Cleveland, 7 for 24, 83 yards, threw a couple of interceptions. As I started to say a minute ago, you know, when you come into those situations, you really got no chance at all. But when you're a replacement quarterback, as he is, came in during the strike last year, you've been cut a couple times, the Vikings cut him once. You've just got to take whatever opportunities that you can get and make the best of them. That time, a little pressure from Bob Clasby.
Third down conversions today for the Steelers, only 1 out of 7. Facing 3rd and 10 right now. Bono with a bit of time fires it out here, and he overthrows Lewis Lips. That's been a regular problem. We have a penalty marker down. Blackledge was having trouble today finding his receivers, was overthrowing Lips on several occasions, and that time Lips got up in the air about as high as he could with that 5'10" frame, but it wasn't near enough.
Sean McNanny's in the game, number 95 for the Cardinals. He was acquired in a trade with Buffalo. And he got tackled that time by Craig Wolfley.
Wolfley gets the hold. I should mention that Craig Wolfley has playing against a ball club that features his brother, Ron Wolfley. Haven't seen Ron in this ball game. He is a running back and sometimes a return man for the Cardinals.
There he is right there.
Sikahima, deep for Phoenix.
Punt situation now. Newsom on to handle the kicking chores, and Sikahima standing back at his own 30-yard line. Sikahima having to back up to about the 18 as he gathers this one in and tries to go to work. Gets to the 32-yard line before he's wrestled down. 11-16 left to play in this ball game, and it remains a 31-7 Phoenix Cardinals lead over Pittsburgh.
56-yard punt.
Just over the lip of Sun Devil Stadium in the background, the Activities Center where the ASU Arizona State University basketball team plays. And I imagine that NBC will be providing some basketball coverage in not too many months here as that season comes sneaking up on us. It's football. That's the issue of the moment, and the Cardinals completing a pass here to J.T. Smith, who's had a big day today for the Cardinals. Lane Woodruff and Little bringing him down. Going to be enough for a first down here as the ball is across the 45-yard line. We're on our way to New York once again. Here's another update from Gail Gardner.
Thank you, Gary. In L.A., the Raiders trying to rally against the Miami Dolphins. Jay Schrader finds Steve Strahan wide open in the end zone. 13-yard touchdown play that cuts the Miami lead to 24-14. Let's go back to Phoenix.
So the Raiders try to make a move in a comeback effort, trying to get back in that ball game against the Dolphins. Here, the Steelers having a tough go against the Cardinals. Cardinals with the football, leading 31-7. Nothing happening this time for Will Ferrell. Ground game has been much of the success in recent weeks for the Cardinals, but it's been not much of a factor in this one today. The passing arm of Neil Lomax has been basically the story. Lomax is sneaking up, John, on another one of those 300-yard passing days. He's now 17 for 26, 291 yards on our unofficial tally here. Bob Kaufman handling our stats to our left, and we thank you, sir, for your continued efforts on this very warm afternoon. Attendance for today's ball game, there were 62,500 tickets distributed, but there are about 9,500 no-shows today. 53,278 is the announced number here. And they have been faithful, sitting in the sun, rooting on their ball club, and they're watching right now as Earl Farrell carries once again straight ahead to the midfield stripe.
We're talking about the running game of the Cardinals as we watch Farrell, and obviously they're going to run the ball now and try and use up the clock and get to the locker room that's air-conditioned as soon as possible. But really, it's been the passing game today that's been the story of this one, particularly J.T. Smith with a couple of touchdowns and a couple of acrobatic catches. The Cardinals like to set up the running game with the passing game. The way the passing game went today, they didn't have to set up the running game. The passing game took care of it.
J.T. Smith has caught not only 2 touchdown passes today, but he has 8 receptions for about 114 yards at last tally. That's a pretty good afternoon's work. Lomax trying to build, and he goes down. This time he's dragged down from behind.
Lomax.
Jerry Reese had penetration and
Tackled
comes up
by
with the
Reese.
tackle. That is the 4th time that Lomax has been sacked today. But that number pales when you look at the scoreboard and you realize it's still 31-7.
Loss of 5.
That serves him right that time. He's trying to go for it all, and he doesn't need it this time. He's looking for the bomb. He's
He
trying
was
to
trying
go all
to
the
get
way
over that
downfield.
300-yard mark in
Horn
one
set
throw
to
here.
for
Yep.
Phoenix.
Reese got him.
So the loss takes him back to the
Woodson,
43-yard
Pittsburgh.
line, and Rod Woodson now goes back to handle an anticipated punt from Greg Horn. Horn has had some very impressive punts today. He's been booming them out there with consistency around the 50-yard mark. Came in with an average just a shade under 40 at 39.5. Ooh, that one was almost blocked, but he got it off, and Woodson starts from the 12-yard line. Makes one little move and gets to about the 17, and that was it. Good coverage on the part of the Cardinals downfield. We have 8:19 yet to play here in Phoenix, with the Cardinals leading this one 31-7. Well, bright spots have been few and far between for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one today at 31-7. But there's one man with a smile on his face today, Tunch Ilkin, the right tackle. Yes, a girl 2 days ago, Natalie Page Ilkin, welcomed into the world. Tunch and Sharon Ilkin, the proud parents. And just a week ago today, John Jackson's wife Joan gave birth to Josh, a baby boy. So we'll catch up on some of the social notes here regarding the Steelers. Here's a handoff now, and breaking the tackle. Merrill Hodge breaks another tackle across the 35 to the 37-yard line, running behind the blocks on the right side of the line of Tunch Ilkin and Terry Lawn. Hodge with one of the better efforts of the day for the Steelers. Let me also add in the way of social notes. Well, we'll do that in just a moment. Go ahead here, John. We'll take another look.
Play again. As the Cardinals might be wise, I think, at this point to put some fresh bodies in. It's kind of hard to keep your concentration at this point in the game when obviously the game is over.
Here's Bono firing deep, looking and overthrowing Lewis Lips once again at the 40-yard line. We'll handle all of our social notes here. We also wanted to congratulate our booth cameraman today, Rick Corden. Early this morning, his wife gave birth to a baby girl, so he's had no sleep, and he's up here in tough duty today.
It's like
and
a
we've had an
population
injury
explosion around here. What's going on?
Bob Clasby is the man down right now for the Cardinals. Our associate director, Jim Mowry, down in the truck, also a proud parent for the second time. A new son has been welcomed to his family.
As we see Clasby down, I think it goes back to what I said before. You want to start getting some fresh bodies in a situation like this, because it's easy to let down mentally when you're up 31-7, just as it is when you're behind.
I will be checking in now on other activity. We're keeping tabs on other games around the league on this 6th weekend of NFL play. Let's go to New York again and Gail Gardner.
Thank you, Gary. At Candlestick, the Broncos with their first touchdown in 9+ quarters. John Elway finds Vance Johnson, 18-yard touchdown pass that tied the score at 13. Let's go back to Gary and John in Phoenix.
Injured player for Phoenix.
Gary, with his population explosion on here, I just want to make sure that it's not catching.
We're watching now as Bob Clasby comes off on the near sideline. Gene Stallings talking with the side judge down below. And Chuck Noll on the other side looking into that sun. Steelers wearing those black jerseys today on a day where you've seen the repeated shots of the thermometer down on the field well over 120 degrees. But we understand it's a new micro mesh jersey they're wearing for the first time. It's about the lightest weight that you can get. There's Bono firing into traffic, and that one was almost picked off. It was intended for Weegee Thompson, and Carl Carter was the man there, along with E.J. Jr., and Carter almost had himself an interception. So Bono got a quick first down and moved the ball club, and has struggled since now. He came in and replaced Todd Blackledge.
An awful lot of traffic over there. I don't know how you can possibly see a black shirt among all that.
Ooh.
Weegee Thompson pays the price.
Weegee Thompson also took out Carl Carter, as we'll take another look here.
Weegee's thinking to himself, this isn't worth it at 31-7. Cardinals were all over him at that one. They played defense like that all day.
Just short of the 38-yard line. 7:41 to go on the ball game. Steelers trail 31-7. Bono steps up through the traffic and now fires. This one knocked around and almost grabbed on the rebound.
Pass incomplete. 4th down.
Rodney Carter coming out of the backfield, downfield that time, and they're taking a look at Lonnie Young, who was hoping that he could get his hands on it as it bounced around.
It's Lonnie Young and number 20, Travis Curtis, downfield, too. I think maybe number 20 has the first shot at it here. Let's see if I'm right.
Yeah, Curtis had the first shot, and it was Young on the rebound.
Point is that Bono is really struggling. Of course, it's an impossible situation for the quarterback.
Cardinals are just sitting back there waiting for that to happen. Here's the kick now from Newsom, and he drills a beauty. Long spiral that runs Sekihima back to the 13-yard line. Shakes off a couple of men. Now he gets out of the grass with a third, still dancing around and down to the 15-yard line. Got the crowd oohing and awing a little bit. A lot of the folks, particularly in the upper deck, have vacated their seats. They figure this one's well in hand with 7:19 to go, and they've said enough of this hot temperature today, and they have left the stadium. Final scores around the league.
I think at $100 a ticket, I'd stay to the bitter end, wouldn't you?
Now at quarterback for Phoenix.
All the finals from the early games, and we'll be updating the late games as well. 13-13, Denver and San Francisco, as the Broncos have come back to tie that one. We heard the update relating to the Raiders in Miami. New Orleans by 6 in a final. And we've got a quarterback change now for Phoenix, as Cliff Stout has come in to replace Neil Lomax. So Lomax will not have the 300-yard day, but he got very close to it, and Stout will mop up here from the 15-yard line. His first handoff goes nowhere. Farrell just straight ahead and may have got a half-yard at best. Cliff Stout, in his 10th year, a veteran out of Youngstown State. He spent a lot of time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In fact, remember, he had the dubious distinction of going, I think it was 56 games without even taking a snap.
Never got in the game. 56 straight games.
Before he finally got his first opportunity. But he played with a couple of the Super Bowl teams for the Steelers back in the glory days of the 70s. Clasby, the injury report is a bruised right thigh. Whether or not we'll see him any further today or not, leading 31-7, you would be inclined to think that his afternoon is complete as well. Stout pitches it out to Jordan. Jordan, who had a 1-yard touchdown run earlier, gets out of bounds after a pickup of maybe 2 yards, about the 18-19-yard line. Thomas Everett over there to pop him out of bounds on the far side of the field.
5th-round draft choice of this year, 6'2", 220 pounds. You can see Cliff Stout looking into the sun, as everybody has all day today.
J.T. Smith, who's alongside Stout, J.T. probably saying, yeah, I'm open. Throw me the ball. I've had a day today. He's caught 8 balls already for 114 yards.
I think at this point in the game, though, everybody just wants to get to the locker room. It's air-conditioned in there. The water's cold and wet. And this one is over at 6:24, so they want to use up the time and get in as quickly as they can.
Lomax finishes his day, I believe it's 17 of 26 for 291 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Another great afternoon for Neil Lomax. Cliff Stout now firing and completing this pass. Ooh, the ball's knocked away. That's a free football. It's picked up by Hinkle, and he's down at the 15-yard line. Brian Hinkle grabbed that one away as J.T. Smith couldn't hang on to it. So J.T. wanted the football. He got it, but he didn't have it very long. And a turnover, the 3rd of the day against the Cardinals. They managed to dodge the bullet earlier. They had 2 first-quarter turnovers that led to no blood. There's some Pittsburgh rooters in the stand watching this diehards.
It's the first mistake that J.T. Smith has made all day. Hinkle just picks up the loose balls. It was jarred loose.
I think that was Darren Jordan. Yes, it got the ball wrestled away, and then it was grabbed by Hinkle. So the Steelers now from the 15-yard line.
Phoenix fans think they're supposed to be rooting for Pittsburgh. Is that what it is?
No, I think those were Pittsburgh fans looking at all that gold over there. Here's the handoff to Hodge. Hodge working the right side to about the 12-yard line. Merrill Hodge in his 2nd year out of Idaho State.
You know, speaking of those Pittsburgh fans in the stands, I heard a couple of the players for the Phoenix Cardinals saying that there is some confusion among the fans here. There's so many people that have come from other parts of the country that live here that when the team plays football here, it seems like 50% of the people in the stands are for the other team, and some of the players have mentioned that. You can see the Pittsburgh people up there. They like this hot weather here. They think it's wonderful.
2nd down at the 12-yard line. Steelers offense has not scored yet today. The 1 touchdown coming on the kick return by Woodson. Steve Bono trying to end that drought right now as he flips it out here to Hodge. Hodge inside the 5 has a man in front. Plows ahead for the touchdown.
Bono's pass complete to
Riding the block of Brian Blankenship, who was out in front that time. Merrill Hodge finally gets the Steelers on the board for the first time since the late 1st quarter. At 5:25 to go, you have the feeling that it may be too late. But, of course, the Steelers, that gives them a little push here now, and they'll try to get the conversion and hope they can get their hands back on the football once again. Gary Anderson coming on. Anderson, who has this incredible streak of PATs. 184 consecutive, and you can make it 185. He knocks that one through routinely. So we have 5 minutes and 25 seconds to play. It's now a 31-14 ball game as Merrill Hodge gets his first touchdown of the season.
One-man screen.
Toss.
Watch this. Brian Blankenship out in front. Does a pretty good job of just staying with his man. Now it doesn't get to be form blocking at this point. He's just going to find somebody back up there, knock somebody down. We'll both go into the end zone. Good job, though, to stay in the play. Even though he gets spun around here, he stays in the play and lets Hodge get into the end zone on a one-man screen. See it again from the other angle. Stays on his feet, number 60. That's the key to this. At that point, he just gets in the way, but Hodge finds the end zone. And they finally get a touchdown. You see, that's not exactly making Chuck Noll's day, that touchdown.
Well, to those viewers who have just joined us to watch the Magical World of Disney program, we invite you to stay tuned. The Disney program will be seen in its entirety immediately following football, except for Mountain and Pacific time zone stations where the program will be seen at its regular time. 5:25 to go. It's now 31-14. Blackledge looking from the sideline after a very frustrating day for him. Bono came in, moved the ball club, and then they had to punt the ball away, but a Phoenix turnover gave them another opportunity from close in. And the touchdown pass from Bono to Hodge pays off to make it 31-14. Here's the onside kick attempt. Anderson is remarkably good at the onside kicks, but the Cardinals cover very, very nicely. Anderson is one of those who is capable of using either foot at the last second. He can really cross you up. But the hands team for the Cardinals comes up with a football just short of midfield. They lead it 31-14. They have 5:20 to try and protect if they're to extend their winning streak to 4.
Earl Farrell is the one that makes this reception. But look at this excellent onside kick.
Gets that
Anderson.
high bounce.
It bounces around, but a good job by number 31 there to grab it. But that's a good kick.
We were watching them work on that yesterday during their workout at one of the community colleges here in Phoenix in the afternoon. And 2 times in a row, the Pittsburgh hands team was unable to handle one of Gary Anderson's onside kick attempts. There's an inside handoff from Stout. I think it was, yes, Ron Wolfley with a football for the first time today, now on the backfield. So we've had changes in the offensive scheme as far as Gene Stallings is concerned and the Cardinals.
Doesn't seem to be cooling off.
Look at this. It just keeps inching up as we get later into the afternoon. It's now just after 4 o'clock Phoenix time.
I think they better give that thing a drug test. It can't be 125, can it?
It's down there in the sun, and it's over on the Pittsburgh side of the field, down in the end zone where just a moment ago the Steelers scored. After the onside kick, however, the Cardinals have the football now in Pittsburgh territory. Stout has Wolfley and Jordan as his setbacks behind him. Awalt is the man slowly in motion. Pitch out goes to Tony Jordan to the left. Upended at the 45-yard line, and now a penalty marker will further slow proceedings here. Cardinals 3-2 in the NFC East coming in, tied for the lead with the Giants. The Giants, of course, are involved in the Monday night game against Philadelphia tomorrow, so looks like the Cardinals will still have at least a share of first place in the NFC East. And boy, with Cincinnati winning today to go 6-0, and the Steelers looking at now a 5-game losing streak, 1-5, things get real grim in the Central Division of the AFC for the Steelers.
It's getting grim for Cleveland in there, too. I don't know how much longer Kozar is going to be out, but if Cincinnati keeps winning, difficult.
Ron Wolfley called for the hold in the backfield that time, number 24. So the ball at the 45-yard line, and it's 3rd and 5 now for Phoenix. Roy Green comes wide to the near side. J.T. Smith, who produced the turnover on his last attempt at handling the ball, is wide to the left. But other than that turnover, it's been a great day for J.T. Smith with 2 touchdowns and 9 receptions.
I think Stout's trying to use up some time here.
You might get that feeling, wouldn't you? He's just letting every second tick off that clock. Now, as the clock winds down, he'll get a chance to put things in play from the 45. Pitch out comes to Jordan, this time to the right. He's hammered at the line of scrimmage. Everett with good penetration. Thomas Everett had that low hit initially to upend him. Countdown has brought us to the 3-minute 20-second mark at this time.
No gain. 4th down.
This is a look at the palm trees and the beautiful campus of Arizona State University, Palm Lane. They have magnificent facilities here, not only for football, but for basketball. And just on the other side of the football stadium, an abundance of tennis courts and a great baseball field. They take their sports very seriously down here in the Valley of the Sun.
You can see why in this weather, and they've got 40,000 students on this campus. So tremendous facilities for all those people.
Timeout has been taken with the ball at the 45-yard line. Let's look ahead once again now for the Phoenix Cardinals. The upcoming schedule has them in Washington next week. And they'll be taking a 4-game winning streak, it appears, to the nation's capital. Then they'll be back here at home against Cleveland in 2 weeks. 3 weeks from today, they'll be at Dallas against the Cowboys, and that'll be a big ball game in their own division. And 4 weeks from today, San Francisco's 49ers come calling here in Arizona. So the next 4 weeks will provide a very stern test for Gene Stallings and his ball club. And for Chuck Noll, now looking at 1-5 in the face, they have Houston, Denver, and the New York Jets as their next foes. Ready to resume action with a 4th down punting situation. And Horn hanging this one up. Woodson will have no opportunity for a run back, and this one goes out of bounds somewhere around the 11-12-yard line. Well, it's going to be brought out further than that, about the 17-yard line, it looks like. We'll be spotted. 3:20 yet to go in this contest.
28-yard punt.
Phoenix got on the board early. It was a 32-yard touchdown pass from Neil Lomax to the tight end Awalt. Then Woodson on the ensuing kickoff came back. Take a look at the report card here. From the time it was a 7-7 ball game, looked like things were going to get interesting, but it's been basically all Phoenix since, and you get a good indication of why here on the report card. You see many of the Cardinals with very good afternoon. Little screen over the middle to Hodge, and Hodge trying to get out close to the 25-yard line before he is muscled down.
Well, that report card that we just saw shows a tremendous job that the offense did, but let's not overlook the defense for the Cardinals either. As we look at the Steelers report card, and you can see what the defense did. Blackledge in his first start, really almost not even there, 8 for 20. And 34 yards was the best they could produce rushing the ball, and that was by Hodge late in the game.
Just that kick return. Penalty marker down as this pass is completed, and it's back there in the vicinity where you may expect the holding call. This one going to Lewis Lips at the 32-33-yard line, and the indication, as you see from Johnny Greer, it'll go against the Steelers.
Talking about the Cardinals' schedule coming up, Gary, and I think they've got an advantage going for them right now. Even though the schedule's difficult, they've got some tough teams. They've got the advantage right now of being able to sneak up on some people. Nobody's taking them all that seriously just yet. But I think as we look at them today, maybe the rest of the league better start taking them seriously.
I'll tell you, Chuck Noll yesterday was very emphatic in his remarks and his respect for this Phoenix ball club. He said, you know, this is a very good football team. And I think what really caught everyone's eye was the fact that they beat the Rams in Anaheim last week, and the way they rolled up the yardage, better than 500 yards of offense and scoring. Of course, the way they did, 41 points. This is 4 weeks in a row that the Cardinals have generated more than 30 points of offense. Bono scrambling to the left now, looking deep downfield, goes cross country on this one, and it's intercepted and dropped. Carl Carter had his hands on it but couldn't hang on as they had defensive backs circling all around Weegee Thompson. Thompson was the intended receiver.
Weegee's getting a lot of attention here in the fourth quarter. When the game's over, he's probably thinking to himself, hey, I was here in the first quarter too, and he didn't throw it to me. Now they're just throwing it up for grabs. As you can see, Bono just looking for a place to hide. Just going to throw it as far as he can and hope that his wide receiver can make a play, as Weegee has to turn around and go the other direction. He has no idea where the ball is, and Carl Carter has the best shot at that one, but he can't hang on.
Bono has now put the ball in the air 10 times, has completed 3 for 27 yards, including the touchdown pass to Merrill Hodge. From the 13, Bono being pressured out of the pocket, trying to bide some time, pumps once, now fires down this side, and again overthrows the target, Charles Lockett. We've seen that so many times today for the Steelers, both quarterbacks, Bono and Blackledge, in the absence of Bubby Brister, overthrowing their men. And Brister remains a mystery. They just don't know if he's going to be able to play next week or not. That was the middle finger on his passing hand. It was kind of a fluke injury because it wasn't from a hit last week. He was actually falling to the ground, tried to cushion the fall, and that's how he ended up with the problem to the joint or the knuckle on that finger.
Well, based on what we've seen from his 2 replacements today, I think Pittsburgh fans are hoping for a miracle cure. Desperately need some help at quarterback. Brister's got to get back in there.
Newsom getting the punt off from the 5-yard line, and Sekahima, who has 6 returns for 47 yards, waiting for this one at the 38-yard line. Across the 45 with a stutter step to about the 47-yard line, and we're 2 minutes and 21 seconds away from the end of this one. Don't forget, next Saturday, NBC Sports proud to begin coverage of the 85th Fall Classic, the World Series, at home on NBC. And we know that the Oakland A's are in.
10-yard return.
They completed a sweep of Boston today.
The Red Sox didn't do it, huh? Everybody thought with that tremendous comeback that they might be able to do it, but the A's wiped them out in 4 straight. The late games now, as you look at the ticker, Denver and San Francisco tied in the 4th. The Raiders in Miami, isn't that interesting? Schrader trying to bring him back. New Orleans for real.
Thank you, John Morris, for filling in while I had one of those coughing jags here. The dry desert heat and the after effects of a Korean cold from the Olympics not working well today. At the 50-yard line, we'll move now toward the 2-minute warning, as Tony Jordan was the ball carrier that time.
Tell me what was more exciting, the cycling and the judo that you did in the Olympics, or the second half of this football game?
That's a unanimous vote. It's been long since cast.
Well, I enjoyed listening to you.
I tell you, we had a terrific time, and I, for one, am really proud of the effort that was put in by all the folks at NBC, and it was a fascinating 1-month period, coming back and trying to get readjusted to time zones and NFL football, and one thing or another, it's been an interesting week this week, but we've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the opportunity to work with you for the first time today.
It certainly has been fun, and
I know that the folks back in the Pittsburgh area have got to be vastly disappointed with the outcome of this particular ball game with just over 2 minutes to go. It has been a struggle for their Steelers.
well, it's going to be a long year for the Steelers. It already is, but it's not going to get any better. I just don't see it on the horizon. The Steelers are a young team making a lot of mistakes, and with quarterback problems and with offensive line problems. It's almost a situation where it reminds me of when they were 1-13 and Chuck Noll began to rebuild a team that led to the 4 Super Bowls. He's got to start from that point now, I think.
Pitch out again goes to Jordan. Jordan across the midfield stripe to about the 47-yard line. And this one should about get us to the, well, it's not going to get us to the 2-minute warning because another timeout has been taken by the Steelers.
I can't understand why they would do that. I'm sure most of the players, whoever called that, the players are not happy about it.
And we should point out also that on the near side of the field now, the entire near sideline for the Cardinals is in the shade. So there's probably a, well, not probably, there's a significant difference in the temperature down there in the shade as opposed to on the opposite side of the field where the Steelers have been in the sun all afternoon.
That's interesting because as you see it right there, they're on the near sideline. And normally in the National Football League, the home team is on the far sideline because that's the easiest camera shot. I think that's the reason they do it, really. Here it's just the opposite, and you can see why the shade helps. I don't know if we get a chance to see it. Maybe they can give us a shot of it. But on the benches, there's mobile air conditioners and fans on both benches. That I'm not sure in weather like today whether it's a big help, but anything will be welcome, I guess.
Both coaches yesterday emphatically trying to downplay any significance. You see the giant fans moving the air on the sideline, but, you know, the last thing they're going to say is that, oh, yeah, the weather could be a factor. But you know that it has to be difficult when it's that hot. I've seen that thermometer absolutely pegged today on numerous occasions. Well over 120 degrees down at field level. Scout completes the pass out here to the tight end, Awalt, struggling to stay on his feet at the 36-yard line. They keep him in bounds, keeps the clock moving.
Oh, he limps off. I don't understand why he's in there working with a bad ankle.
We're just inside the 2-minute warning now. 31-14, less than 2 minutes to go, and Phoenix on the way to a 4th straight win. 31-14, Phoenix leading. Couple of things that stand out in the Arizona Heat today. The inability of the Steelers to generate any offense, and then the big production today of Neil Lomax for the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals are used to the heat. Obviously had no problem with it today. I'm not sure the Steelers can use that as an excuse. They've got a lot more problems than the heat caused them, and it's back to Pittsburgh and start rebuilding.
Yeah. 31-14 as we go back to action down on the field. Ball at the 36-yard line, just inside the 2-minute mark after the final warning here, and the Steelers still hoping that they can get their hands in the football. But here's Ron Wolfley now trying to break a tackle. Gets inside the 30 to about the 29-yard line. He's going to be short, it appears, of the first down. Pretty good effort, however, as he almost got out of the grasp of the tackler.
Tackled by County.
Very convincing win by the Cardinals, though. We've talked a lot about Pittsburgh's problems, and they certainly have them. But you can see two teams here as we look at Lomax on the sideline. You see one team going on the ascendancy and another team going the other way.
Well, time for our Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. And, of course, it's no surprise that that man in the cap there, Neil Lomax, from the Cardinals, is our MVP. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's NFL games. Lomax with 3 touchdown passes, 291 yards unofficially in the passing department. Here's Wolfley once again, slashing now to about the 26-yard line, and this time he'll be close to a first down.
You're thinking about Cliff Stout and all those years he spent in Pittsburgh. What would that have been like to spend 56 straight games and never step on the field? He does have a Super Bowl ring to show for it, but
Gain of 3.
amazing persistence, I guess.
He hasn't had many opportunities to do much this year as we watch Lomax dissect this victory on the sideline. Stout had thrown the ball only 19 times this season coming into this game, and the mop-up duty began in about the final 8 minutes or so of play in the fourth quarter. That last carry, incidentally, was good for the first down, so now the clock is just winding down very, very quickly. This may well be the last play of the ball game. Wolfley going straight ahead. You see the clock and the countdown continuing in the lower right portion of the screen, and the Cardinal fans realizing that that winning streak is still intact. In first place in the NFC East is still partially theirs. They move a half game up on the Giants, who play tomorrow night against Philadelphia. So 31-14 is the final in this one. The Cardinals now will start thinking about Washington, Cleveland, Dallas, and San Francisco.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Cardinals, thank you all very much for attending.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers, now saddled with a 5-game losing streak, are 1-5, consecutive losses to Cleveland, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Washington, and now Phoenix. Final score again, 31-14. Phoenix in a romp against the Steelers.